Bhakti Vaibhav class. So in the past 2 weeks, we were discussing from chapter 13, where having learnt about Bhakti from Maitreya Rishi, Vidura returned to Hastinapur with an intention to deliver his elder brother Dhritarastra. So, seeing Vidura return, Yudhisthira Maharaj, his brothers, Draupadi, Subhadra, Kunti, and all other family members became very happy. They received him nicely and they heard from him where all he traveled, where all he visited all the holy places, what all he did in the past 35 years. So Vidura told everything except the departure of Lord Krishna and the Yadus. He did not tell. And then, after spending some time, couple of days in Hastinapur for the pleasure of Yudhisthira and all, at one day, kind of in seclusion, Vidura spoke very harshly to Dhritarashtra. He is still wanting to continue in the palace, in the midst of the palace facilities, considering him to be the king even now, and living on the mercy of the remnants given by Bhima, whom he wanted to kill since for many long years, siding his own son. So he kind of said like that. He said that before the bad qualities of Kali Yuga comes forward, better take the decision to go to forest. Anyway, you cannot become Narottama. At least become Dhira. At least become Dhira. Become sober and go to forest and become detached from the material facilities. Practicing Ashtanga Yoga, attain perfection. Something like that. So, having heard from Vidura the very harsh words, the harsh reality of the material existence, Dhritarashtra, in the mid of night one day, taking the help of Vidura, leaves Hastinapur. So, being a chaste wife, Gandhari also follows them. So, three of them left Hastinapur in the middle of the night. No one knows. No one in Hastinapur knows that these three personalities left the palace. So, next morning, Yudhisthira Maharaj got up as usual, got ready, offered oblations in the morning, performed morning rites, and then after giving charity to the Brahmanas, he entered into the inner chambers to pay his respects to his elderly family members, such as Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and Vidura, etc. etc. So that is the context. Now the verse starts with Ajata Shetru Bhutamaitaro Dagne Vipran Natva Tilago Bhumi Rukmai Graham Pravishto Guruvandanaya Nacha Pashat Pitaro Saubalim Cha.
Maharaja Yudhishthira, whose enemy was never born, performed his daily morning duties by praying, offering fire sacrifice to the sun god, and offering obeisances, grains, cows, land, and gold to the Brahmanas. He then entered the palace to pay the respects to the elderly. However, he could not find his uncles or aunt, the daughter of King Shubala.
Yeah, we can see the conduct of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Though Yudhishthira was also witnessing that what all the injustices were created by Duryodhana and his company, but he never harbored ill feelings towards Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. He always had great respect for these two elderly people. He already said that Ajata Shatru, Yudhishthira is always called as Ajata Shatru, who has no enemy. Not that no one felt him as enemy, but he himself felt no one as enemy. He did not see anyone as his enemy. Whenever Duryodhana would do something against the Pandavas, you used to always say that, okay, this is as per our karma. So no need to blame Duryodhana like that. He always treated like that. Yudhishthira, after performing morning Sandhya rites, offering oblations in the fire, and offering respects to the Brahmanas by giving sesame, cows, land, and gold, then entered the house, entered the inner chambers to offer respects to his elders. But having gone there, he did not see Vidura, he did not see Dhritarashtra, and he did not see Gandhari. Three of them were missing from the inner chambers. Louder so that they will hear.
किसी को नहीं पता कि वो तीनों चले गए. बट ये वो तो पैलेस में रहते हैं तो उनको जो संतरी होते हैं बाहर लोगों को पता होगा देखे दिन for many time के this is happening in the palace.
Vidura was the minister for Hastinapur for many years. He was the minister for Hastinapur for 100 years. Can't he go? Can't he understand how to go without informing anyone, without the notice of anyone? See who is taking them. So don't be such. He is the minister of Hastinapur. He is not an ordinary person like you and me. So he can take through the secret ways. That is not an issue. Secret and shortcut ways, not necessarily the main road of the city. Maharaj Yudhisthira was the most pious king because he personally practiced daily the pious duties for the householders. So Prabhupada writes in the first line only, this is the greatness of Yudhisthira Maharaj. He never neglected his daily duties. As a king, as a grahastha, he performed his duties perfectly. So what all he did, a kind of brief introduction is there in this verse. Krita Maitra means having performed Sandhya rites, he worshipped the Brahmanas with sesame and other items and entered the inner palace. So offering sesame also indicates that he might have performed morning Pitru rites also. Sesame is generally used in performing Pitru rites. So in that way. By using the word Pravishta, so sometimes associated with the entering the funeral pyre, there is a hint at death rites offering, which also use sesame seeds. Something like that. Cha indicates not only that he did not see them, but he did not know where they had gone. Of course, if they are not there in their room, then maybe there is some other room like that. But it is already verified that they are not seen anywhere, and no one knows where they have gone. So that is the situation now. Morning. Some three sandhyas will be there. Morning, noon, and evening. 3 are called sandhyas. Shubha Sandhya, Madhyana Sandhya, Sayam Sandhya. Can be done, but the people generally use like that. Sandhya means the transition between one type of system to another type of. Night to day, rising sun to setting sun. Okay. Morning to afternoon sun rises. In the afternoon, sun starts going opposite side. It's kind of setting, again coming down. And evening, the light becomes dark. That is called Sandhya. Sandhya means transition. So it is like that. So then, Tatra Sanjaya Masinam Papruchodvigna Manasa Gavalgane Kwa Nastato Vruddho Hinascha Netrayo Ambacha Hataputrarta Pitru Vyakwa Gatasuhurut. Okay, here one line is missing, sorry. Gavalgane Kwa Nastato, sorry, is okay. Here one more verse is there. That comes in the next verse. Actually, 2 lines added here only. So, but anyway, read the translation.
Maharaja Yudhisthira, full of anxiety, turned to Sanjaya, who was sitting there, and said, "Oh Sanjaya, where is our uncle, who is old and blind? Where is my well-wisher Uncle Vidura and Mother Gandhari, who is very afflicted due to all her sons' demise?
Okay.
My uncle..."
Okay, Mataji, enough. So, here Yudhishthira is asking Sanjaya. Sanjaya is like personal assistant to Dhritarastra. He is always there with Dhritarastra. So, afflicted in mind, Yudhishthira asked Sanjaya, who was sitting there, "O son of Gavalgana, where is our father, my blind aged uncle? His wife grieving for her slain children." Basically, where is Gandhari, his wife, who was grieving for the slain children? And where is my uncle Vidura? Uncle and friend Vidura. So Sukhrut, who is our well-wisher. So where are these 3 personalities? I can't see them. So you as a personality must be knowing about their whereabouts. Can you tell us? So where are they? So then he continues that Apimanne akrita pragne hata bandhu sabharyaya asam samana samalam gangayam dukkitopatat.
My uncle Dhritarastra was also very mortified due to the death of all his sons and grandsons. Undoubtedly, I am very ungrateful. Did he therefore take my offences very seriously and, along with his wife, drown himself in the Ganges?
So he is kind of suspecting. So all these days he was okay, but Vidura had come. Did Vidura instigated something because of which they kind of done something, etc., etc. He's stating that. He says that has he thrown himself in the Ganga along with his wife out of sorrow with all his children dead while contemplating my foolish offense? So now since Vidura came, whether all past activities kind of stirred in the mind of Dhritarashtra, and did he remembered my offense against him and he wanted to commit suicide because of Yudhisthira all my sons died and something like that. So unable to tolerate my offenses, whether he wanted to kill himself and drown himself in Ganga, like that he is suspecting and inquiring from Vidura with Sanjaya. Was Dhritarashtra depressed with the thought of my offense, thinking that why should I live when Yudhisthira did not leave even one of my sons? Or another meaning is he desired as follows: let Yudhisthira also have the sin of killing me too. So Yudhisthira had killed my all my 100 sons. Let he take the sin also, another sin also, that killing me also. So thinking like that, unable to tolerate my offenses, thinking like this, whether Dhritarashtra and Gandhari drowned themselves in Ganga. So Sanjaya, please tell, where are they? Where are my uncles? Like that, Yudhishthira was asking Sanjaya. But you see, actually, it was Yudhishthira went through a lot of tribulations because of Dhritarashtra. But he is talking another way. That is the nature of Yudhishthira. And Prabhupada writes that in the last line of the purport, a devotee never finds faults with others, but try to find his own and thus rectify them as far as possible. Devotee never finds faults with others. Instead, finds faults with himself only. If something happens in one's own life, they think that Swayam Kurta Aparad. As a result of my aparad only, something is happening like to me. So otherwise, they will never find faults with other people. So that is the nature of people like Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Let Yudhisthira also have the sin of killing me. So is the sin that somebody is suiciding, the cause of the suicide will get sick.
No, this Dhritarashtra is not thinking like that. Yudhishthira is thinking like that.
Means that will be the reason also which that somebody is suiciding. So the cause due to whom he is suiciding, they are also the cause of sin.
Obviously.
Attendance.
Something.
Will be instigating, they are also getting that.
We hear na Prabhupada writes, the meat eating involves 6 people
Yeah.
committing sin. So different people are there in that. If somebody speaks very harshly, their heart got disturbed and they commit suicide. उनका है पर इनका भी है दोनों का. So then further continues. Pitari uparate pandav sarvana suhruda shishu arvakshatam vyasanata pitruvya gatavita.
When my father Pandu fell down and we were all small children, these two uncles gave us protection from all kinds of calamities. They were always our good well-wishers. Alas, where had they have gone from here?
When our father Pandu departed, these two, both Dhritarashtra and Vidura, protected us, 5 Pandavas, 5 children, who were their relatives from all different dangers. From this place, where have they gone? Actually, Vidura protected them all dangers, but Yudhishthira Maharaj gives credit to Dhritarashtra also. Suta uvacha kripaya sneha vaiklavyaat suto virahaka karshita atmeshwaram chachakshano na pratyahati pidita.
Sutta Goswami
Sutta
said,
Goswami said,
Because of compassion and mental agitation, Sanjay, not having seen his own master, Dhritarashtra, was aggrieved and could not properly reply to Maharaj Yudhisthira.
Suta Goswami says that Sanjaya, pained by the separation from his master and not seeing his lord, overcome with compassion and the bewilderment of affection, did not reply. Though Yudhishthira is asking, but Sanjaya is simply crying out of lamentation, out of separation from his master. He did not say anything in reply. So that is what happens. Prabhupada writes, Sanjaya was the personal assistant of Maharaj Dhritarashtra for a long time, and thus he had the opportunity to study the life of Dhritarashtra. And when he saw at last that Dhritarashtra had left home without his knowledge, his sorrows had no bound. He was fully compassionate toward Dhritarashtra because in the game of battle of Kurukshetra, King Dhritarashtra had lost everything, men and money. And at last, the king and queen had to leave home in utter frustration. He studied the situation of his own way because he did not know that the inner vision of Dhritarashtra had been awakened by Vidura, and that therefore he had left home in enthusiastic cheerfulness for a better life after departure from the dark well of home. Unless one is convinced of a better life after renunciation of the present life, one cannot stick to the renounced order of life simply by artificial dress or staying out of the home. So Prabhupada says 2 points. One is Sanjaya knew in and out of Dhritarashtra because he kind of spending time with him since beginning of Mahabharata. So he understood that as a result of gambling match, Dhritarashtra lost everything. Previously he was king and he will be no more king. Previously he had 100 sons, now he had no sons. Previously his family was filled with sons, grandsons, so many people. Now no one is there. He is kind of doomed almost. But somehow or other is still alive by the respect and comfort given by Kunti and other Pandavas, etc. But now I don't know what had happened, but he left home without even informing me. Like that he was feeling. But he could not understand that somehow or other Vidura ignited the inner vision within the heart of Dhritarashtra so that he can prepare for better life in the future. So taking that as a clue, Prabhupada writes that unless one is convinced of a better life after renunciation of the present life, one cannot stick to the renounced order of life simply by artificial dress or staying out of the home. Without proper conviction that there is better life after this life, one cannot practice one's own sadhana very seriously. Even for us also, in order to practice our sadhana properly, we should have complete conviction that there is something called Krishna Loka, something called spiritual world is there, which offers better life than the current life. Otherwise, we'll never do anything seriously. Outer project so that they will hear.
Dhritarashtra was surrounded by the Mahabharata devotees like Krishna and Pandavas. So he left there those companies and went to the forest, but ultimately the goal of life is to get the association of the very exalted devotees.
Okay.
Here we say here.
Emotion overpowers many times logic and reasoning. From childhood, Dhritarashtra always instigated by emotions. He wanted to become the king because he was blind. He was not made as the king. He was always lamenting that I could not be the king. I could not be the king. I could not be the king. He could not logically accept it and understand it. I cannot be the king. But he was emotionally only thinking. And somehow or other, Pandu was cursed. He went to the forest and he thought that okay, at last now I am the king. After me, my son should be the king. He thought that Pandavas will never come home. Abruptly, Pandu died. The 5 Pandavas came home. Again, problem. Pandu, Yudhisthira is elder than Duryodhana. The next king will be Yudhisthira. He had problem. And Duryodhana kind of supporting his viewpoints. He always said that, how can Pandavas be the king? I should be the king. Because you are king now, I should be the king. So he kind of supported him throughout the Mahabharata. Emotional turmoil only, emotional only. There was no logic and reasoning. Many tried to convince Dhritarashtra with logic and reasoning. Vidura tried, Bhishma tried, Maitreya Rishi, Vyasa, Daumya, so Krupacharya, so many sages convinced him. He did not. After death, after Mahabharata battle, he was crying for the death of his sons. Still he is not following logic and reasoning. At last, now, because Vidura spoke very harshly, he realized. साथ में रहने से कुछ नहीं होगा. We need to take their association seriously. Just by being there, nothing will happen. सुनते नहीं, सुनने से नहीं, कुछ करने से होगा.
किसी की जो बोल रहा है उसकी मानेगा कि हाँ ये कुछ.
He heard everyone. He never neglected hearing anyone. He heard everyone, but did not do anything upon that. He heard. As soon as they left the chamber, Duryodhana would come and would speak something else, and that would emotionally overpower him. Duryodhana would always say that if you do this, I will commit suicide. Emotional blackmail. So हो गया ना, जो ज्ञान था वो चले गए. Emotional. See, one side is emotional, one side is logic and reasoning. If emotional sentiments overpower the logic and reasoning, we can't do anything. But at last now, Vidura strongly speaks. Forget about all the emotional, understand logically everything. What you are doing here? You are living in the house of those people whom you wanted to kill. You tried to kill them multiple times. You are living like a dog at the mercy of Bhima. A Kshatriya being called like a dog means it is like great insult. Like Arjuna also was scolded by Krishna very seriously in Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter. Klaibyam masmagama partha naitatva upapadyate Shaudram udaya darubalyam taktotishta parantapa. That is a great insult for Arjuna. Same way here also. Gruha palavat. You are living like a dog at the mercy of Bhima. Bhimarjita pindam. So
Why specifically told people?
महाभारत कभी पढ़ा नहीं क्या? B.R. चोपड़ा का महाभारत देखा नहीं क्या? ऐसा it is Bhima killed 100 Kauravas, not Yudhisthira. It is Bhima whom they are afraid of from the very beginning. Dhritarastra, Duryodhana are never afraid of anyone else, only Bhima. It is Bhima who could play with all the Kauravas like ants, even when he was a child. After they came from Himalayas, as they would play in the mango forest, the Kauravas would never allow Pandavas to take any mango. And Bhima would pull all of them under his arms and move around and throw. It's like that for Bhima, they are like small rats kind of thing. He's so powerful. So they are always worried about Bhima, how to kill Bhima. That's why they always, from the beginning, they are scheming very means to kill Bhima, giving poison, giving this, giving that, etc., etc., etc. They know that if Bhima is killed, Pandavas will be demoralized and they'll be destroyed.
इवन बाद में भीम ने धृतराष्ट्र को सुनाने में भी कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी. आफ्टर जैसे ये बोले ना कि इसकी मर्सी पे तुम जी रहे हो धृतराष्ट्र, तो युधिष्ठिर मना भी करते थे भाई ताऊ जी ये मत करो, लेकिन भीम उसको रोज खरी खोटी सुनाते.
वो तो कथाकार का कथा है, महाभारत का कथा नहीं. वो सुनाओ मत इधर. So, and then Mahabharata itself clearly says that when Pandavas came back after battle, Dhritarashtra himself wanted to kill Bhima. It is Krishna who saved him. So see, it's by evident actually. It's like that. That's why willingly Vidura says Bhima's name. So, whom they wanted to kill from the very beginning, whom they are afraid of from the very beginning. And that Bhima's mercy, and that Bhima's mercy you are surviving now. So it's like that. Sanjaya was overcome with affection, thinking What will become of these two without protection? He was disturbed by affection caused by his relationship with melted his heart, which melted his heart. Because Sanjay is personally taking care of them. If they wanted to go from here to there, he would actually escort them always. He would tell who are there in the front. He could hear, but he can't see, na? It is Sanjaya is like the eyes for the Dhritarashtra. So now he's thinking that without me, how will they survive? Where they will go and how will they be maintained? What will happen? Some forest animals will come, this, that, that. Like that he was thinking. He's lamenting. Then continues. Vimrujashruni panibhyam vishtabhyatmanam ajata shatrum pratyuche prabho padau anusmaran.
First, he slowly pacified his mind by intelligence and wiping away his tears.
Little louder, Prabhuji.
First, he slowly pacified his mind by intelligence and wiping away his tears and thinking of the feet of his master, Dhritarastra, he began to reply to Maharaj Yudhisthira.
Wiping his tears with his hands, making his mind steady by intelligence, remembering the feet of his master Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya replied to Yudhishthira. Since Yudhishthira is king, so he cannot keep quiet for quite some time. He kind of lamented what will happen, thinking about them. And then he stopped his crying, wiped off his tears and made his mind steady, and then began to reply. Sanjaya uvacha naham veda vyavasitam pitarorva kulanandana gandharya va mahabaho moshitosmi mahatmabhi.
Sanjay said, my dear descendant of Kuru dynasty, I have no information of the determination of your two uncles and Gandhari. O king, I have been cheated by those great souls.
Sanjaya says, I certainly do not know about your uncles and Gandhari. They have cheated me. Till now, for anything, Dhritarashtra would always consult me. He would never do anything on his own. He would always consult me. He considered me as his own bodily limb. And today, I don't know. They have cheated me. So, like that. Prabhupada writes very nicely on the concept of cheating in this purport. The great souls cheat others may be astonishing to know, but it is a fact that great souls cheat others for a great cause. It is said that Lord Krishna also advised Yudhishthira to tell a lie before Dronacharya, and it was also for a great cause. The Lord wanted it, and therefore it was a great cause. Satisfaction of the Lord is the criterion of one who is a bona fide, and the highest perfection of life is to satisfy the Lord by one's occupational duty. This is the verdict of Gita and Bhagavatam. Dhritarashtra and Vidura, followed by Gandhari, did not disclose the determination now to Sanjaya, although he was constantly with Dhritarashtra as his personal assistant. If at all Sanjaya was informed about their living away from the palace, Sanjaya would try to stop, or he would inform Yudhishthira Maharaj that your uncles wanted to leave home, please stop them, something like that. Something would have happened, but they don't want that kind of thing should happen. So that's why they did not inform. Sanjaya never thought that Dhritarashtra could perform any act without consulting him. But Dhritarashtra's going away from home was so confidential that it could not be disclosed even to Sanjaya. Sanatana Goswami also cheated the keeper of the prison house while going away to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And similarly, Raghunath Das Goswami also cheated his priest and left home for good to satisfy the Lord. To satisfy the Lord, anything is good, for it is in relation with the absolute truth. We also had the same opportunity to cheat the family members and leave home to engage in the service of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Such cheating was necessary for a great cause, and there is no loss for any party in such transcendental fraud. Something like that. So they left while Sanjaya was sleeping. They must be sleeping inside in the chamber. Sanjaya might be sleeping in the outer room. So without waking up Sanjaya, without being noticed by Sanjaya, they left the palace. Then Sanjaya further continues. Ata jagama bhavanan Narada sahatumburu pratyutyabhivandyaya sanujo abhyarchayan munim.
While Sanjaya
While
was
Sanjay
thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumbru. Maharaja Yudhisthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances.
As Yudhisthira and Sanjaya were talking to each other, suddenly both of them are lamenting about the welfare of Dhritarastra, Gandhari, etc. Suddenly Narada came. At that time, Lord Narada, holding a veena, Sahatumburu means holding the veena, arrived there. Standing up, Yudhisthira, along with his brothers, welcomed and worshipped Narada Muni. Then Yudhisthira addressed Narada Muni. So here the word Bhagavan Narada used. Here Bhagavan indicating that all knowing. Narada Muni knows everything. So Yudhishthira understood that because none of us in the palace know the whereabouts of Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Narada can know it. So with that intention, Yudhishthira Maharaj is going to speak to Narada Muni, asking about the whereabouts of our Dhritarashtra and Gandhari and Vidura. Out of lamentation, Yudhishthira worshipped him, but more important was the whereabouts of his uncles. It was if it had some other occasion, Yudhishthira must have been very cheerful to receive Narada Muni. But now the occasion is so painful, though he worshipped, but he was still suffering, and immediately inquired about the whereabouts of Dhritarashtra. He could not wait. So Yudhishthira says no. Yudhishthira uvacha naham veda gaditam pitror Bhagavan kwa gatavita ambavahata putrata swagata cha tapasvini karnadara iva pare Bhagavan paradarshaka ata babhase Bhagavan Narado Munisattama.
Maharaja Yudhishthira said,
Continue. Little louder.
Ascetic aunt who is grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons. You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed the body personality, Devarshi Narada, greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak.
Yudhishthira says, "Oh Master, I do not know the destination of my uncles. I do not know where they are planning to go. Where did they go from there? Where did my austere aunt, grieving for her dead sons, go? You are like a pilot for crossing the ocean of grief. Karnadara iva pare, Bhagavan paradarsha ka." You can see the other side. You are like a pilot. Yudhishthira Maharaj says Karnadara means pilot. And iva pare, pilot for what? In order to cross beyond the ocean of grief, the ocean of material existence. Bhagavan paradarshika, because you can see the other side. Because you know what is there on the other side, you can guide us to the other side. Only you can do that. No one else can do that. Something like that. Then Lord Narada, the best of the sages, spoke. So taking a clue from this Karnadara, Iva Pare, Bhagavan Paradarshaka, Bhagavan Narada, Prabhupada talks about the nature of a saintly person. In this purport 39, Prabhupada says that an ascetic is never disturbed by all kinds of sufferings, and that makes him strong and determined on the path of spiritual progress. Queen Gandhari is a typical example of an ascetic because of her marvelous character in many trying situations. She was an ideal woman as mother, wife, and ascetic, and in the history of the world, such character in a woman is rarely found. So even at this point of time, she did not excuse herself that I am blind, I cannot go. In the sense, she is blindfolded, I cannot go. Not like that. She followed her husband, even the last. Prabhupada writes in the next purport, there are different types of philosophers, and the greatest of all of them are those who have seen the personality of God, Paradarshaka. and have surrendered themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. Among all such pure devotees of the Lord, Devarshi Narada is the chief, and therefore he has been described herein the greatest of all philosopher devotees. Bhagavan is called as Bhagavan Nardo Muni Sattama, best among the Munis. Unless one has become a sufficiently learned philosopher by hearing the Vedanta philosophy from a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot be a learned philosopher devotee. So Vedanta philosophy, as Prabhupada writes here, means one need to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. For us, Bhagavatam. Outsiders may hear Vedanta, but for us, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary for Vedanta, should be heard thoroughly. So that makes one nice learned philosopher devotee. One must be very faithful, learned and renounced. Otherwise, one cannot be a pure devotee. A pure devotee of the Lord can give us directions toward the other end of the nescience. Devarshi Narada used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhisthira because the Pandavas were all pure devotees of the Lord, and Devarshi was always ready to give them good counsel whenever needed. So it's like that. Apare means in the ocean of grief. Since you are the Lord, you know everything. Please tell me what are the whereabouts of our uncles and Gandhari. Then the rest of the chapter is spoken by Narada Muni. So first few verses, Narada philosophically pacifies Yudhishthira Maharaj, and then he speaks about the whereabouts of Dhritarastra. So that is the remaining part of the chapter. Narada Uvacha Ma kaschana suchorajan yadishvara vasham jagat loka sapala yasye me vahanti balimishishu sa samyunakti bhutani saeva vyunakti cha.
Sri Narada says, Pious king, do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is he who only brings them together and disperses them.
So in the first 10 verses, starting from 41 to 50, very nicely philosophically explains about the nature of this material world. Up to the occasion, Narada says, O king, do not lament for anything. Na kaschana sucho rajan. Ma kaschana, kindly do not lament for anything of this world, because this world is dependent on the Lord. Yad Ishvara Vasham Jagat. This world is not in our control. If it is in our control, we could have rectified the situation. Since it is Ishvara's control, there is no point in lamenting for anything. The Lord to whom even the Devatas carry offerings joins and separates the living beings. Loka Sapala Yasheme Vahanti Bali Mishusha. Even the great Devatas also offer oblations unto him, seeking his shelter and protection. And that Lord only brings people together sometimes and separates them at other times. Sa samyunakti bhutani sa eva vyunakti bhutani. So that Lord, who is the master of this world, under whose control this universe is maintained, unto whom the Devatas are offering oblations, only brings people together and separates them at other times. So it is not in your control. It is not that you chose to be in the association of Dhritarashtra, not like that. It is Lord put both you together till some time and now separating. So don't lament. In the beginning, Yudhisthira would faint with lamentation on hearing what had happened. Therefore, first Narada appeased his lamentation by speaking philosophically. So when Narada Muni said that Ma Kachana Sucho Rajan, my dear king, do not lament for anything. Then Yudhisthira says, you say do not lament, but I am fainting in separation from those two persons. Then Narada says, this cannot be prevented because meeting and separation of living entities depends on the Supreme Lord. It is not your choice that you meet, you can stay together and stay separate. It is all by Lord's will. Lord is under control. So there is no point in lamenting for something beyond your control. So it's like that. So in the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes the nature of this world very nicely. Prabhupada writes, ordinarily one cannot change the course of one's due happiness and distress by plan. We may make so many plans to mitigate our distress and make our life happy. But everyone has to accept them as they come under the subtle arrangement of Kala or invincible time. There is no use trying to counteract them. The best thing is, therefore, that one should endeavor to achieve salvation. And this prerogative is given only to human beings because of his developed condition of mental activities and intelligence. That endeavor to attain salvation is only for human beings, not for the animals and other lower species. Because the human beings are endowed with developed mental and intellectual faculties, so their life should be engaged in endeavoring for attaining salvation. Only for man are there different Vedic instructions for attainment of salvation during the human form of existence. All the Vedic literatures are given only for human beings only, not for animals, not for anyone else, only for human beings. One who misses this opportunity of advanced intelligence is very condemned and put into different types of miseries, either in this present life or in the future life. That is the way the Supreme Lord controls everyone. So it is like that. So then Narada Muni continues. Yet Ishvara Vasham Jagat. How the entire world is under Lord's control, that is being indicated in the next verse. Yata gavo nasi protas tantriam baddascha damabhi vak tantriam nama bir badda vahanti balimishitu.
As a cow bound through the moon, moved by a long rope, is conditioned. So also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the order of the Supreme.
How all of us are controlled by the Supreme Lord is explained with an example. Just as cows are bound by ropes to the nose and the ropes are all attached to one longer rope, all human beings bound by designations of Varnashrama derived from the Vedas carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord. This is how all the living entities are bound in this material world. Example is given with respect to the cow. To support what has been said about the entities carrying out the Lord's orders and the Lord causing meeting and separation, two examples are given. Each cow has a rope tied to its nose. We may see, sometimes we may not see, but at least for the bulls, the rope is there. The nose, because bull is not uncontrolled generally. So in order to control that bull through the nose, the rope is made. And all are tied to one longer rope. They have one rope connected to their face through the nostril, and one rope connected to that and tied to a pole somewhere at distant place, so that the cows have little freedom to move around. So what is the connection between the ropes and the small rope and the longer rope with the present discussion, which is there in the Bhagavatam here? The understanding is that the Vedas are the long rope. That long rope, which is tying the cow to a pole, allowing the cow to have a freedom to move in a certain distance, that is the Vedas. The humans are bound by the short ropes of the designations in the Vedas, such as Brahmana and Kshatriya, Brahmachari and Grihastha. The identity with respect to the Varnashrama duties is the small rope. The small rope is like which keeps the cow or bull under control, is like the identity which we have: Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, or Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. These are like small ropes. And the big rope is the do's and don'ts of these with respect to Varnas and Ashramas. So every Brahmachari has the freedom to move in certain distance. Grihastha has the freedom to move in certain distance. Vanaprastha and Sannyasi they have their respective freedom, their respective designated rules and regulations. That is indicated by longer ropes. So Vedas, which prescribe different rules and regulations for different varnas and ashramas, is the longer rope, and the small rope is the identity that which we have, with which we live for the entire life. That's how all of us are bound. Are we not? Huh? Can you kindly introduce yourself, my dear sir? No, forget about Vedas. I'm just asking the casual discussion now. Can you kindly introduce me about yourself? That's all. When you go to interview, this much only will say. In the interview panel. Huh? Tell.
I'm from marketing background
Huh. So loudly they will hear that they know about you. So not that's it. It is much more. The interview panel wants to know if they ask a biodata form, you need to fill. When you book a train ticket, you need to fill everything. Suppose somebody asks me, I say that. So not from Vaishnav perspective, but normal perspective. So my name is Pandu Santoju. My parents so and so. I've been born and brought up in so and so place in so and so state and etc. etc. Gender male, age so and so years, siblings so and so, so many sisters and brothers. Okay. The parents' occupation, mother, housewife, father, carpenter, this, that. My qualification, electrical engineering, MTech from IIC Bangalore. And my previous experience, have been worked in Ashok Land here and there, etc. When I go for new company interview, okay, my expertise, I'm expert in so and so, hardware design, software design, plus something like that, etc. etc. So what are all these? These are all small rope only, different identities. So in the past, they might be identifying with the designation that I'm a brahmachari, gross, and then now, at this time, we also say whether I'm married or single. Okay, that indicates brahmachari, grasa. If somebody is aged, they say, I'm married, I have 3 children, out of which two children are already married, and out of them one already had one daughter. So I'm grandfather. So it's like that, everything being indicated. So directly or indirectly, we all talk about that. Our expertise, our educational qualification, talk about our varna. Yes, no? Brahmana is supposed to be expert at Brahmanical qualification. Kshatriya is supposed to be expert at Kshatriya qualification. That is what. And we, the modern man, are qualified with respect to engineering, arts, commerce, science, or medicine, etc. That is our Varna duty. We are bound. Will you not identify yourself for the entire life as an engineer or not?
Marketing.
Okay, sir. Marketing.
Yeah.
Huh? Yes. Obviously, we live with that. That is our identity.
Every identity is a role. Every identity is a role.
Yes.
Simple.
Simple.
And
that identity will give you certain activities only. You cannot do beyond that. Can you? So, for example, as an engineer, they have certain roles to play. They cannot act like a doctor. Can you? You go to DRDO community hospital and enter into operation theater and start doing surgery. Will you?
That means whatever we are doing, we are just carrying out the orders of the Lord.
No, we are limited by the prescribed rules and regulations. Since childhood, we have been to school, college, university, and we have studied only engineering. So we only do engineering activities. We cannot do medical activities. Are you getting? Same way, in the past, the Brahmana has gone to Gurukul, studied Brahmanical scriptures. He only understood how to live like a Brahmana. He cannot go to warfield and fight with a sword because he was never trained in that aspect. So in that is the understanding. That is what we are limited. We are governed. If one cow is connected to a rope of 10 meters, he can move 10 meters area. If another cow is connected to a rope which is only 5 meters, it can only move in the 5 meters area. It cannot go 10 meters area. Their range is limited. Something like that. A Brahmana can only do Brahmanical activities. Kshatriya can only do Kshatriya activities. Vaishya can only do Vaishya activities. Engineer can only do engineering activities. He cannot do doctor's activities. He cannot do CA activities. He cannot do lawyer activities. Something like that. So we are trained in a particular domain. We become expert in that domain. We continue to do those activities and we live with that identity for the entire life. Even at retirement also we say that I am retired general manager of so and so company. Our visiting card will be having that. I am ME from IAC Bangalore. It will be there till I die. So I cannot get away with that. Even though if I want, I cannot. Whatever.
That is that short rope. What if we long?
Long rope is the duties. With identity, you get some duties to perform. You only do those duties. You can't do other duties. Something like that.
प्रभु जी एक चीज है, सारा का सारा चाहे हम मॉडर्न लें या पुराना लें, सारी आइडेंटिटीज कन्वर्ज वर्णाश्रम पर ही हो जाती है। कन्वर्ज आप कैसे भी करो उसे खेल कूद कर लो, लेकिन कन्वर्ज वो यहीं पे होगी।
सोर्स वही है ना,
मतलब नाम बदलते रहेंगे लेकिन कन्वर्जेंस वहीं पे जाएगा सब।
यस
वर्णाश्रम के बियॉन्ड कुछ आइडेंटिटी बचेगी नहीं।
यस करेक्ट।
आज तो वही बचेगा।
बियॉन्ड भी बहुत चल रहा है, बट अच्छी बात नहीं अभी बात करना। Their payment is following the order, such as every day one must perform Sandhya rites. Like Yudhisthira Maharaj previous said that as a Grahastha, you need to perform Sandhya rites. As a king, you need to give charities to the Brahmanas because Brahmanas are supposed to be maintained by a king. So that is the payment. Because Lord is maintaining us and we need to pay that, following our rules and regulations very properly. So it's like that. So this is like this example is being used all throughout Bhagavatam in order to tell that living entities are bound in this material world under the supervision of Supreme Lord. How? Just like cows are bound by a rope. The cow is connected to a central pole through a rope. The cow only had the freedom to move in that area only. It cannot go one step outside. That's how we are limited. The only difference is that my rope is 1 meter. Your rope is maybe 2 meters, some other rope is 5 meters, Devata's rope may be 20 meters, Sage's rope may be 30 meters. That's all, that is the only difference. Otherwise, everyone has one their respective rope. We can't go beyond that. That's all.
Another thing, can we say like this? Our ropes are psychological. अगर आइडेंटिटी हम मानते हैं तभी तो आइडेंटिटी है। जैसे अभी कोई भी आदमी अपने आप को मानने से मना कर दे कि मैं ये नहीं हूँ, तो वो he will not perform, मतलब अपना रोप बंद तोड़ दिया।
Not like that. Only crazy person will behave like that. Otherwise, ordinarily no one will behave like that.
नहीं मैं उस अदर वे में नहीं कह रहा। आइडेंटिटी लेसनेस मतलब कि व्हेन वी गो टू स्पिरिचुअलिटी, जब हम इस तरफ जाते हैं आध्यात्मिकता, तो वहां पर हम धीरे धीरे अपनी एक्चुअली जब हम बोलते हैं कृष्णदास, लास्ट में एक आइडेंटिटी बचती है, तो हम बाकी जस्ट
मैं यहाँ पे भी हमारा आइडेंटिटी है। Devotees like all of you might say we are grahasthas. People like me say brahmacharis. That identity is still there. We are not bereft of that identity.
जैसे भगवान बोल सर्व धर्मान परित्यज्य, तो धर्म छोड़ने का मतलब आइडेंटिटी छोड़ना बेसिकली।
कब छोड़ेंगे? When you will give up that? It's a long way to go. It is not that easy to give up that identity.
हाँ वो लंबा जाएगा, लेकिन मतलब स्पिरिचुअलिटी का भी अंत ये है कि आपका
सर्वोपाधि विनिर्मुक्तम तत्परत्वेन केवलम ऋषिकेन सेवनं भक्ति रुच्यते. The final destination of bhakti is giving up all identities and accepting he is my ultimate master, tat para tvena kevalam, and engaging all our senses in service of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, we are engaging our senses, including mind and intelligence, in order to exhibit our expertise. Is it not? You are working for DRDO. You want to exhibit your intelligence for the upliftment of DRDO. He is working in the marketing agent area. Prabhuji is working as a doctor. So Prabhuji is displaying his expertise in order to cure the disease of the patients. So like that, everyone is doing that only. So it's like that. Rishikesha, Rishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchite. Ultimately, we need to use all our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. That is where Bhakti reaches its ultimate end. After going to spiritual world also, will the Jiva continue to behave like an engineer, doctor, CA, etc. etc.? Why?
He cannot. Bodily identity है ना वो.
वहाँ पे जरूरत नहीं क्या?
But वहाँ पर एक ही whatever you are doing.
वहाँ पे घर चाहिए ना क्या? घर नहीं रहेगा. वहाँ पे रास्ता नहीं रहेगा. वहाँ पे व्हीकल नहीं चाहिए. Okay.
नहीं पर रास्ता बनाने के लिए फिर
There is no time now.
Huh?
Time and space.
Time and space. So think about it. Homework for all of you. वहाँ पे ये सब beauty है क्या नहीं? Will the Vaikuntha Vasis have to work hard in order to construct bungalows, roads, gardens, vehicles?
Only duty is to place your Lord.
मतलब what do you do there?
Seva.
What do you do there? What kind of seva? What kind of seva?
Mala, garden.
और तुलसी माला करने के लिए तुलसी तो प्लांट आना चाहिए ना. वो प्लांट कहाँ से आएगा? गार्डनिंग करने करेगा तो. Then garden also can happen na. If the plant can grow, garden also can happen. Why not? Huh? So think about it. So what are the things that a devotee will do after going to Vaikuntha? सोचो ना.
जो यहाँ पे कर रहा वही मिलेगा.
I'm asking you, don't ask me.
Transcendental service towards Lord.
That's what I'm asking. What kind of services you do there? Not just saying service, not that. What kind of service? Preparing boga, offering boga, eating prasad. So like that. Service. वही करेंगे, same करेंगे.
तो bro same ही identity रहेगी तो identity का.
As a devotee, no, we are there. We will be there.
Anyone from online? What a devotee does having gone to spiritual world will still retain the identity as an engineer, doctor, lawyer, CA.
Hare Krishna. No, Prabhuji. There, the identity is of the servant of the Lord, and there the entity serves the Lord in different ways, like as you said, offering bhoga, preparing bhoga.
You are simply
having
repeating.
the lotus feet. So that's what he does, no? The identity will not be same of that an engineer or.
There is no requirement of constructing buildings, constructing roads, gardens, ponds, etc. etc.
No, that just happens by the thought of the entity or the Lord.
Then
Just by
boga
thinking it
preparation also
happens.
can happen by thought only, na? Why to prepare?
there Prabhuji. Reflection of the spiritual world ना material जो जो भी है वो spiritual world में वही रहेगा लेकिन वो connected to Krishna Lord.
Okay. So there everything is connected to Lord. That's why it becomes devotional service.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You said you are electrical engineer. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says there is no electricity required in that Goloka Vrindavana. Everything is lit up automatically.
Okay.
So this material knowledge that is not required when we go up.
Okay.
We will be in the servitor mood and we have to serve Krishna. That's all.
So that's what I'm asking. What kind of service one will do after going there? Service to hai, but what kind of service?
Prabhuji, it will be service as per their desire according to the different rasas. Like Prabhupada says that we will identify our own constitutional position after a point of time. So we understand what kind of service we are attracted to serve Krishna. So the way we would like to serve Krishna, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. Like Vatsalya Rasa, Shantarasa, Madhurya Rasa, or the different rasas are there.
Okay.
हरिबोल प्रभु जी.
Ah, yes.
प्रभु जी एक्चुअली हम लोग स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन है. वी मे बी पत्ती है, पेड़ है, पौधा है, भौरा है. हमारा एक परमानेंट पोजीशन है वहां पे. तो जब हम यहाँ से स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में जाते हैं तो वी गेट दैट पोजीशन, वही रूप हमको मिलता है, एंड वी हैव टू सर्व इन दैट रूप ओनली.
Okay. Okay. Forget about all the other species. If somebody has received a Vaikuntha Vasi human species kind of thing, then what kind of service they will do?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, as I know, the engineering and the doctor profession here, so there also we see Vishwakarma, we do all the construction and all.
Sir, my dear sir, by the way, Vishwakarma is in the heavenly planets, not in the spiritual world.
Yes.
Maybe there, but whatever we hear about Vishwakarma is all in heavenly planets, not in the spiritual world.
And Prabhuji, Ashwini Kumars do the Vedya.
Also in heavenly planets.
Yes.
प्रभु जी,
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, मैं
भगवान के लिए गुनगुना.
Yeah, quickly.
Prabhuji, just like in Dwarka, everybody's energies and efforts were devoted towards the service of Shri Krishna, Bhagwan. So in the similar way, in Vaikuntha also, everybody will have their duties all devoted towards the service of Shri Krishna. Whatever he assigns them to do, they will do that with full devotional service.
Okay. So just to conclude the subject matter, I assume that I'm not blaming anybody. All of us must have heard 10th canto pastimes, especially Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. How Lord Krishna used to perform different activities in Goloka Vrindavan. In Vrindavan along with Gopas, Gopis, Mother Yashoda and other elderly mothers, Nanda Baba, etc. Also we hear from Bhagavatam 10th canto Lord Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka. Also, we hear about Lord Vishnu's pastimes in Vaikuntha from 3rd canto, chapter 15. Eventually, we'll read, but you must have heard some classes some time back. They are like the windows to the spiritual world. What happens in the spiritual world is shown to us like a trailer here in the Bhagavatam in some chapters. So, in Goloka Vrindavan, the lifestyle is like that of ordinary village people. That's all. So whatever is required, whatever is mentioned in the Bhagavatam 10th canto, that is the kind of activity they do in the spiritual world eternally. Here is a small trailer. So what they are doing? Some people are tilling the land and cultivating. Some people are taking care of the cows, milking them for the pleasure of Krishna. And Krishna himself going to graze the cows. So simple. And when it comes to Dwarka, Krishna is treated like a king. He is worshipped. He is respected. The Aishwarya aspect is becoming a little more prominent. And he has so many queens, and everyone is busy performing their household chores, etc. When you go to 3rd canto Vaikuntha, it is altogether entirely different. Full Aishwarya only. At least Dwarka, thoda sa Madhurya, thoda Aishwarya is there, mixer is there. But in Vaikuntha, full Aishwarya. It's like that. So they can give us a clue that what they do in Vaikuntha, what kind of activity they perform, etc.
Is it like that when one is self-realized or when one reaches perfection, that time it will be shown is like a revelation or something?
Not like that. In Nodi also we have read that when the divinity comes to the platform of Asakti, there it is revealed what is the Swarupa of a Jiva. So that is where the Raganuga Bhakti begins to manifest in the heart. Then the Jiva tries to understand in which way one want to serve the Lord. Then in the Bhava Bhakti platform, they starts manifesting the desire that enough is enough. Till now I have served the deity. Now I want to serve the Lord in person. In that mood. So when they come to Prema, they get to see the Lord. Even they are in the material world, but they get to see the Lord. They get to serve the Lord in person. Eventually, after Prema platform, they go to spiritual world. They get to serve the Lord rest of their material day. So it is like that. In Asakti platform gets revealed. Till then, we need to work hard practicing sadhana bhakti, Vedi sadhana bhakti, in order to purify our heart of all the anarthas, etc.
जो ये आपने बताया वृंदावन वन लीला या द्वारका की या वृंदावन वन लीला में तो एक ये है कि जो भी कुछ एक्टिविटी कोई भी कर रहा है वो एक टाइम के अंडर में है, कि मतलब कृष्ण भी बड़े हो रहे हैं, सब कुछ टाइम के साथ चल रहा है। बट भी से के
नित्य लीला, वहां पे नित्य लीला
नहीं, बट नित्य में मतलब आप टाइम को कैसे कंसीडर करो, मतलब नित्य एक ही जो जिस एज का वैसा ही है, क्या कर मतलब एज बढ़ रही नहीं बढ़ रही है, क्या हो रहा है?
डोंट
क्योंकि अगर टाइम
एज सम ऑफ द डिवोटी सेड ना, एक बार जाके देख के आ जाओ, आपको बताओ क्या होता है, कैसे होता है। हमारे लिए आ जाओ। So we'll continue with the discussion between Narada Muni and Yudhisthira Maharaj. Yata kridopas skaranam samyoga vigamaviha ichaya kriditu staya syatam tatai veshechaya nranam.
As a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them.
So in the previous verse he said that just like a cow is controlled by two set of ropes, all the human beings in the material world are also controlled by two set of ropes. Not only human beings, all the way up to the devatas and great sages are also controlled by two set of ropes. One is identity, second one is our roles and responsibilities while living in this material world, our duties. Just now, Narada Muni says, just as the items used in playing are brought together and separated by the will of the player, humans are brought together and separated by the will of the Lord. So, as the cows are tied to a central post with their ropes, etc., etc., they are made to move around. At some point of time, two cows come together, walk together for some time. Then one cow goes ahead and one cow goes slowly. And then another cow comes and meets. So like that, in our life also, we be with some people for some time, then they will be separate from us, and we get to meet with other people. Even in our life also we can see. In our childhood, we are with our grandparents and parents also. Eventually, siblings will come. In due course of time, the spouse will come. Then in due course of time, children will come and parents will be passed away. They will be separated from us. And for the children, not grandchildren, their spouses will come and the grandchildren will come. And one day we are separated from them. It's like that. In our life only we can see. People with whom we are living keep changing over the period of time. Something like that. So that is by the will of the Lord. Who will decide how long one person can live, when supposed to die, etc., etc. It's all by destiny under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. So it's like that. Kridopaskaranam refers to the things like dice. So in a dice game, in the Chaturanga, there are 4 coins will be there, na? They'll be going. Initially they are all in the house. So when we play, one comes out, starts moving. Second coin comes out, starts moving. Third one comes out, starts moving. Fourth one comes out, starts moving. At the end of the game, all again come back to the home. Till then, they are at various places. So like that, life is like that. So Prabhupada writes in the first sentence, we must know for certain that particular position in which we are now set up is an arrangement of the Supreme Will in terms of our own acts in the past. So whatever we have done in the past, as a result of that, we are made to come in association with some people. And we go to some other place and come in association with some other people. Again go to some other place, come in association with some other people, like that. We keep meeting people and separated with people. Like for example, all the householders who are working, few years they may be working in Bombay, they may be shifted to Pune now. Pune they come in association with different set of people. Then they will be shifted to some other place, Delhi or something like that. Like that, the association will be keep changing. Within the family we have discussed, even outside society also, the association keeps changing. So like that. So now, next Narada Muni continues. Yen mannase dhruvam lokam adhruvam va na chobhayam सर्वथा हि नहि सोचास्ते स्नेहात् अन्यत्र मोहजात्.
O king, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle, or the material body to be perishable, or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are due only to illusory affection and nothing more.
He comes to philosophical explanation. If one considers oneself to be the soul, whether we identify ourselves as the soul, yen mannase dhruvam lokam. Dhruvam means eternal, firmly fixed. Soul is eternal. So if we identify ourselves as the soul, or adhruvam, if we identify ourselves with our body consisting of gross body and subtle body, or na cha ubayam, neither or both. In all these cases, whether we consider ourselves with the soul or with the body or with both, in all these cases, the person situated with this discernment beyond material affection should not lament himself or should not lament for himself or for others. Whether I identify myself with the body, whether I identify myself with the soul, whether I identify myself both with the body and soul, but a person of discriminating knowledge who understands what is what should neither lament for oneself nor for others. Because the person of discrimination understands that the wandering of the soul is governed by the karma under the supervision of Daiva. So nothing is in our control, everything is in the control of karma and Daiva. So one no need to lament. It is already ordained that we will be in the association of this so and so person only for this many years. A grandson may be in the association of grandparents only for 10 years. At the age of the 10 of the child, the grandparents are supposed to be dying. Even the child cries, he cannot bring back the grandparents. That is ordained by the destiny. So something like that. So then what is the point of lamenting for the separation between those two? See, kindly understand here, Shastra is not discounting the emotional aspect. Emotional aspect is there, but it is specifically when it comes to philosophical discussion, if when a person situated with discernment, okay, when a person discussing philosophical talk, he should not lament. The person who is interested in going back to Godhead should not lament for this temporary bereavements. Even Arjuna, also having heard Bhagavad Gita, he lamented when Abhimanyu died. That will be there, but that should not continue for the rest of life. Maybe on that occasion, based on the occasion, one can express one's feelings of separation, but that should not continue for the entire life. So that is the understanding. So situated with discernment beyond material affection should not lament for himself or for others. It has been just said that because everything is under the control of the Lord, one should not lament. So we should accept everything is happening by the will of the Supreme Lord and move on. But when looking at the world, there is no real object of suffering. Because everything manifested for the Supreme Lord, everything is there for a certain amount of time. There is no reason for lamentation. So in that way. People may consider themselves as Jiva, that means Atma, or the body, or neither as Jiva or body by being Brahman. Some may say that Aham Brahmosmi, I am already liberated. I am neither a person here nor the body. I am already liberated. Some may think like that. Are having qualities of both consciousness and unconsciousness, considering both Atma and body together. All four types of people should not lament for their relatives, since they have no affection, being situated with discernment. You remember in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says same thing. What was that? Asochan Anvasocaswan prajna vajamsha bhashate. Gatasun agatasuncha nanusodanti pandita. Gata asun, the grass body from which the life years are departed. Agatasun, the subtle body from which the life years are not departed. Cha, the soul. My dear Arjuna, you are speaking like a learned man, but a learned man will never suffer, will never lament for the grass body, for the subtle body, or for the soul. Because a learned person understands the nature of this material world. How Jiva moves from one species to other species, everything understands. When one is changing from one species to other species, just like when we change one cloth to other cloth, when this cloth is torn apart because of some reason, so we don't lament so much. We change the cloth. Similarly, one no need to lament when one changes the body, either for a grass body or for the subtle body or for the Jiva. Anyway, grass body and subtle body are temporary, no need to lament. Anyway, Atma is eternal, it will never die, no need to lament. Something like that. Here also Narada is saying same thing. Whether you consider yourself as a grass body or subtle body or a soul or as a combination of all these three or as liberated soul, no need to lament for anything, either for yourself or for us. So basically for Yudhisthira is saying that you don't have to lament for yourself, thinking that because of your offense, Dhritarastra drowned himself into Ganga, and you don't need to lament for Dhritarashtra's welfare. Because none of these two are in your control. You may think that you are maintaining them, but that is not true. He is the one who is maintaining you and him also. So don't worry. Something like that. So very philosophically, Narada Muni actually speaking. So if we see emotionally, it seems illogical, but it's actually philosophically logical. Emotionally, we may not accept these teachings, but when it comes to discriminating what is what, this talk will be helpful. So in that way. Affection is the source of lamentation and the root of ignorance. Affection, the bodily affection, the source of lamentation and it is the source of ignorance. Ignorance of forgetting one's own identity as the soul. This affection is generated from illusion in the material world. Moha. Whatever affection we have is due to moha. See, I'm sorry to take this example, but just to help us understand, I'm taking this example. For example, we have grandparents. The relationship between grandparents and grandchildren is very affectionate, very loving, very caring, very close bonding. But that will not last long. Maybe 10-20 years there could be association between grandchildren and grandparents. Afterward, the grandparents will die. Grandchildren will lament. So now, from philosophical point of view, as Krishna spoke to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, same way, the grandparent is a Jiva, grandchild is also another Jiva. Both Jivas brought together for 20 years. So they are exchanging their affections. Okay. And he is considering him to be grandparent, his grandparent considering grandson. Close relationship. And grandparent died. And now, immediately he is born in the neighbor house. The grandparent born in the neighbor house. And the grandson will be seeing that person, the new born child, from the day one. Will he treat him as before? Previously, he was treating him as a grandparent. Now, how will he treat him? At most as a neighbor, friend. That's all. Nothing more than that. Same person only. Just because grass body changed. No more affection. Where has gone that affection? Previously, the grandchild would not eat without the grandparent. But now he is eating happily without him. Even in front of him also, without feeding him, he is eating. Something like that. So, this is what happens in the material world. This indicates that the affection related to Bhakti, So, this affection is generated from illusion in the material world. The affection is exchanged between the grandson and grandparent as long as we identify ourselves with that relationship. Once their death is over, when they leave that body, the relationship is no more. Even though that jiva is there in the next door, but we can't deal with him in the same affectionate way. So this is called moha in this material world, philosophically.
Even probably sometimes we see the same grandparent born in the same family, and he is not treated the way he was treated earlier.
So it's like that. The same example Acharyas tell in terms of bhakti. This indicates that the affection related to bhakti is not included here as a source of lamentation. The material affection is a source of lamentation. Like when grandparents die, the grandchildren obviously will cry. They express their lamentation for many years, for their entire life. They remember the affection of grandparent. That is always there. There is source of happiness, which eventually transforms into source of lamentation. That is the nature of this material world. But this is not the case in the spiritual aspect. This indicates that the affection related to bhakti is not included here as a source of lamentation. Lamentation arising from bhakti, the sthai bhava or karuna rasa, is most excellent. For example, Lord Krishna stayed with the Vrajavasis for 11.5 years. Then Lord Krishna left Vrindavan, went to Madura, saying that I'll come back today after tomorrow. But Krishna did not return. The Vrajavasis were in intense pain of separation. But that pain of separation is not like the pain of separation that we go through in the material world. Normal case, normal family order. So when the grandchild seeing the death of grandparent will cry a lot, cry bitterly. He remembers every year, at least on the day of the anniversary of death, remembers and expresses lamentation, etc. But in the case of Vrajavasis, out of separation from Krishna, whenever they think of Krishna, Krishna would actually manifest in their heart. Krishna would actually take them to the Bhava platform, Prema platform, made them experience. Even in that separation, the association, the union with Krishna. That is what happens in the case of Krishna. This will not happen in the case of our material dealings. This is the difference between both in that way. So that is the excellence of bhakti. So that is the difference. So in a way, Narada Muni is indicating that no point in lamenting for the material platform. If at all you want to lament on the spiritual platform. That will bring you to the platform of Bhava.
All that तेजी पत्ता है ना, मैं अभी चावल लगा देती हूँ.
Continues. Tasma jahi anga vaiklavyam ajnana kritam atmana katam tu anata kripana varte te chamapina.
Therefore, give up your anxiety due to ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, exist without you.
So in the previous purport, in the last sentence, Prabhupada writes, in either of the above cases, the force of energy is uncheckable. No one has any hand in it, and thus there is no cause of grief. Can we stop the destiny? The union or separation from our old one. Can we stop that? We can't. We need to accept that. That's why. Hare Krishna devotees, when they are not speaking, kindly mute yourself. Sanjeevani Mataji, kindly mute yourself. So, thank you. Huh? So, okay. You are able to see, but online they don't see. So then, here, Narada Muni is saying that, so my dear Yudhisthira, kindly give up your agitation arising from ignorance, thinking, how will they, suffering and without protection, live without me? All these 35 years, it was Yudhisthira Maharaj personally taking care of Dhritarastra and Gandhari. And Yudhisthira Maharaj is thinking that now, so how will they be protected? How will they be maintained? Who will provide them food, water, clothes, etc., etc. for their every daily necessities? Who will take care of them? For that, Narada is saying that, my dear Yudhishthir, give up your ignorance and give up the lamentation. Because you are lamenting for the welfare of them. But although you must be thinking that all the 35 years I took care of them, actually it is not you. The Lord is the one who is maintaining all of them. Everyone, all of us are being maintained by the Supreme Lord. All our near and dear one are all simply instruments in the hands of the Supreme Lord. The husband, the leader of the family might think that I am maintaining my wife and children, I am taking care of this home and everything. He might be thinking like that. But actually, it's the Supreme Lord who is maintaining all of us. Oh, it's like that. It should be seen like that.
ये युधिष्ठिर महाराज ने उनसे भीष्म देव से पूरा ज्ञान लिया और कृष्ण ने भी कई बार समझाया, बट मतलब ऐसे मौकों पर ये मतलब दे आर ग्रेट डिवोटीज, जैसे अर्जुन भी, ये मतलब जैसे ये आते हैं, मतलब दे फ्लो द, मतलब ऐसा कैसे, और फिर अगर हम लोगों के साथ ऐसा हो रहा है तो
okay, for your sake, I would say that even though I said like that, Yudhishthira Maharaj might be thinking that I am maintaining him. For sure that he would never thought like that. Yudhishthira Maharaj being a devotee would never think that. He would always think that I am simply an instrument in the hand of the Supreme Lord, that I have given the responsibility of taking care of my elderly aged parents. He would always think like that. But now he is worried that now who will look after them? He knew for certain that Lord is the ultimate maintainer, Lord will take care of every living entity. That is true. But he is thinking that it is my responsibility to look after my elderly aged parents. As a son, he is taking that responsibility. Is it not the responsibility of a son to take care of the parents till the time last birth? So that's how he is feeling. So it is my responsibility that I need to take care of them. Now, did they feel very bad about me that I have killed their sons? That's why they wanted to drown themselves in Ganga. Like that is feeling. If not drowning in Ganga, if they have gone to some other place, who will take care of them? How will they be taken care? Etc. He is feeling like that. If see, philosophy is something that does not mean that philosophy should not make one rude. If all of us think that, so we are not the maintainer, we are not the caretakers of our family members. It is Lord is supposed to be the caretaker of everyone. So today onwards, I am resigning from my job. I am not going to job. I am not getting money. I am not giving Lakshmi to my wife to take care of the family. And I'll say if she asks money, please give the money for household requirements. I say, no, I am not the maintainer. Lord is the maintainer. You ask Lord, not me. It is like that. It is like that. In spite of doing everything by one's own hard endeavor, one should not say I am the doer. That is philosophical conclusion. One should do everything 100% deposit, more than 100%, and should not say I am the doer. That is what is expected from all of us in this material world. After doing perfectly 100%, one should always say that I have not done sufficiently. I have not fulfilled my responsibilities. That is the expected conduct of all of us. Many times it is always happened in the same.
Always reminder, I am doing this.
Yeah, it is like that.
Can we say like this कि जैसे समझो एक मैनेजर होता है कि पैसा किसी और का है, I am just managing his money. मतलब this can be thought कि भाई पैसा मेरा नहीं है, nothing is mine, but I am given the responsibility to manage the things.
Yeah, bank cashier.
पैसा बहुत सारा पर अपना नहीं है.
Something like that. But it will not happen like that. It will not happen like that. When it happens like that, understand that okay, we are on the right path. We are ready to go back home, back to Godhead. So it's like that. So philosophically, see, there is always tug of war between main emotional aspects and philosophical aspect. There we need to balance both, and then we should go on. Here, from Narada point of view, what he is saying is correct. From Yudhisthira point of view, what he is doing is correct. Both of them are right. So it is like that. If Yudhisthira does not feel bad that Dhritarashtra went out, he will be treated like a very rude person, heartless person. It is not correct. And Narada Muni, as a spiritual master, he is supposed to teach him philosophy. He cannot say, yes, my dear son, whatever you are saying is actually correct. We will take care of them. What will happen to them? Let us go and search for them. Is that what you expect from a spiritual master? Spiritual master is supposed to preach philosophy. And a caretaker should supposed to care emotionally. It cannot be otherwise. So both are right. So
जो भी ऐसा कई बार होता है, जैसे हम लोग नॉर्मली भी कहते हैं कि भाई जब दुख अपने ऊपर आता है तो हम वो बन जाते हैं कि हमको दुख हुआ, जब दुख दूसरे के ऊपर होता है तो हम प्रीचर हो जाते हैं. नॉर्मली यही होता है कि अपने ऊपर कोई दुख हुआ तो हमको लगता पता नहीं कितना बड़ा दुख है, दूसरे के ऊपर हुआ तो हमको कुछ नहीं है, सब भगवान की माया.
That is the problem. The same Yudhisthira Maharaj. There are many injustices happened to Yudhisthira Maharaj. He never lamented. That time he always said that it is because of my karma I am going through this. Always he would always say that because of my past karma I am going through this. When something is happening to others in his presence, he would always lament. That is the nature of a gentleman. That is the nature of a saintly man actually. Yudhisthira Maharaj Prabhupada is a perfect saintly man. Obviously. Kala karma gunadino deho yam pancha bhautika katam anyam tu gopayet sarpa grasto yataparam.
This gross material body, made of 5 elements, is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, bring already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others?
So this verse is one of the important philosophical verse. This is there for your exam also. So here Narada Muni is saying that Kala karma gunadino deho ayam panchabhautika. This body made up of panchabhutas, earth, water, fire, is under the control of Kala, karma and 3 gunas. Okay. If you think you are the caretaker of your parents, you are the maintainer of your parents. But Shastra says that the body is maintained by Kala, karma and guna. So then it continues another point. This body of 5 elements is dependent on time, karma and the material ingredients. How can a person, as if bitten by a snake, protect others? So bitten by snake means bitten by death. Matlab, snake is always considered analogous to be death, Kala Sarpa. So we are all bitten by snake. That means we are all destined to die one day. If not today, but someday in the future, near future, we are destined to die. If at all, again I'm saying that I'm sorry to say, take this example just to give analogy with more graphical example. If at all a parent determines to protect the children, how long they can protect? Only as long as they live. They may live till the child becomes 30 years old or something like that. Take an example. But afterwards, who will protect the child? Who will take care of the children? So even though we may want to protect the children for lust of identity, I will take care of my child till he dies. So you mean to say child should die before you? Not like that. But we have a limitation. Sarpa grasta iva bhati. Sarpa grasto yata param. Katam manyam to gopayat. Gopayat means to take care of them, to protect others. We ourselves are bitten by a snake. That means we ourselves are destined to die. How can we protect others from death? So that is not possible. Our protection also has a limitation. It cannot continue for rest of eternity. So like that, Narada Muni is saying to Yudhisthira Maharaj. Whatever extent you could do, you did it. Done. Now don't worry. Now let things happen by the will of the destiny. Allow them to happen. Why you want to take everything under your control? Something like that. No one can protect anyone else by giving maintenance for the rest of eternity. The parents can only protect the children only as long as they are able to give protection. And the children can protect parents only as long as they are present personally. Afterwards, after that, you cannot protect. That is done. So everyone has their limitation. Time is the general cause. Karma is the cause of birth. Guna indicates the material cause. Kala, karma, guna control our all what is going to happen in our life. Everything is controlled by Kala and our past karma and the three modes of material nature. They control us completely. What's supposed to happen in our life? The same example like parents and children. The parents might provide facilities for the child to become something. The child may become something else. Parents might desire something in relation to children, but the children themselves are controlled by their own karmas. They are supposed to become something else, they will become something else. So it is like that. The body made up of 5 elements is dependent on these 3, Kala, Karma, Guna. The body with these constituents is quickly subject to destruction. One person bitten by a snake cannot protect others. Bitten by snake means determined to die at a particular time, cannot take care of others for the rest of eternity. Everyone has limitation. So in that way. So Prabhupada writes in the 3rd line, a conditioned living being is under the full control of material nature, represented by eternal time and activities under the direction of the different modes of nature. There are 3 material modes, of course. Unless one is situated in the mode of goodness, one cannot see things as they are. This is from Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have studied so much about the influence of 3 modes. Chapter 14, chapter 16, 17, 18. Only in the mode of goodness we can understand what is what. Otherwise, it's a bulta barta. Above the modes of material nature is eternal time, which is called Kala, because it changes the shape of everything in the material world. It is because of Kala something comes and something goes. So then Prabhupada writes, the best remedy for getting out of the clutches of the cobra like Kala or its integrity, the modes of material nature, is by Bhakti Yoga, as it is recommended in Bhagavad Gita 14:26. What is the verse 14:26? Sorry? Pura shloka. 14:26. Anyone? Bhagavad Gita 14 chapter 26 verse. Mamchayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One can only overcome the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, karma and kala, by executing undeviated devotional service unto Supreme Lord. Mam evaya prapadyante manusya partha mayam yetam daivesha gunamayi mama maya durateya. Mam evaya prapadyante mayam yetam tarante. It's like that. So Kala, our body is controlled by Kala Karma Guna. Our body is also maintained by Kala Karma Guna. Apparently the parents are giving us food and all, but that food is also coming from Kala Karma Guna only. Everything. Ultimate controller is Kala Karma Guna. The immediate controllers, immediate maintenance may be our parents, society, friends and relatives, etc. But ultimately it is like that. So then Narada Muni further continues. This is another important thing which people generally quote this verse. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Read the translation. Someone online?
Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another.
The humans are maintained by the animals. Ahastani sahastanam. The human beings are with hands. Sahastanam. The living entities with hands are maintained by the living entities which have no hands. The animals have 4 legs only. We can't say that 2 hands, 2 legs. We never say. Did we say? Do we say? Bull has 4 legs. Horse has 4 legs. Cow has 4 legs. Elephant has 4 legs. Everyone we say. Even for monkeys also we say 4 legs. Huh? Do we say hands? Huh? Do we say hands or legs? Monkey hands, huh? But anyway, monkeys are not in the villages, they are in the forest. So, ahastani sastanam. The bull is used for tilling the land to get the grains so that we are survived. The cow is used to give us the milk and milk products, which are very much required for us to survive. Okay. So, ahastani sastanam. Apadani chatushpadam. Those living entities which are having no feet are the food for the living entities which are with 4 feet, 4 legs. The plants, creepers, grasses, all the other things are food for herbivorous animals. And the herbivorous animals are food for carnivorous animals. So, in that way. So that apadani chatushpadam. Falguni tatra mahatam. The small living entities are food for the big living entities. Like the herbivorous animals are food for the carnivorous animals. Like the small fish is food for the big fish, etc. Thus, Jivo Jivasa Jivanam. The Supreme Lord created this world, this universe in such a way that one living entity is food for the other living entity. Whether somebody bringing them together or not, the Lord makes already arrangement that you don't worry, my dear son, that how will Dhritarastra and Gandhara will be maintained. Don't worry. The Supreme Lord will give them some food in the form of fruits and roots in the forest. Don't worry. That system is actually already made. You don't have to worry so much. The maintenance of all entities is established in the beginning by the Lord. Creation के शुरू में भी कर दिया सब arrangement. The animals are food for the humans. Cow gives milk. Bull is used for farming. Birds used in cross pollination. Horses, camel, elephants used for travel. Cat and dog used for home security. है ना? Cat के बिना rat बढ़ता रहता है, dog के बिना thieves बढ़ता रहता है. So they are used for home security, etc. And the plants, apadani, are food for the herbivorous animals. And the herbivorous animals are food for the carnivorous animals. Small fish are the food for the big fish. One entity is the natural food for other entity. For renounced persons, and now Narada is saying that so your parents, Dhritarastra and Gandhara, they have gone to forest. Don't worry about their maintenance. Lord has made arrangement in such a way that for renounced persons, the maintenance is through the leaves, fruits, and flowers. These are naturally available in the forest. They get fruits, they get flowers, they get leaves in order to maintain themselves. Prepared for the Lord is not forbidden. Why do you lament then? What is the verse in Bhagavad Gita indicate this verse, this particular sentence? Then? बस उतना ही? Louder.
न शोचति न कांक्षति सम सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम्.
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्ति उपावृतं अश्नामि प्रयतात्मना. Even a renounced order person who is wandering from one forest to other forest, no need to worry that I could not offer opulent bhoga for the pleasure of the lords. They can offer whatever is naturally available in the form of patram, pushpam, and phalam, which are naturally available in the forest and offer to the Lord. Okay, Lord is happy and they are happy. So itna to sufficient है उनका survival के लिए. So you don't have to worry, my dear Yudhisthira, that how will they be survived. Lord has made arrangements from the beginning of the creation. What to speak of today? They will be taken care. You don't worry. So it's like that. But now in the material world, we are trying to increase our luxury, exploiting the material nature, exploiting everything. So we are only destroying our own spiritual progress. So that point Prabhupada writes in the entire part. So Jivo Jivo Sachiv is the natural arrangement of the Supreme Lord. One living entity is food for other living entity. And this concept has been exaggerated so much that only a minority of people exploiting the majority of people for fulfilling their own and exploitative mentality. So only minority people have majority of resources with them and rest all serving for them. So that is what is happening in this world. Only when everyone becomes devotees, like Ishavasya principle, Ishavasya midam sarvam, Yatkincha jagatyam jagat, tena taktena bunjita, ma grudha kashasvidanam. Because since Lord is providing everything for everyone's need, if everyone takes only their quota, everyone is fed nicely. Because few people are taking more than they need, other people are under starvation. That is the problem now. Tadidam Bhagavan Ragnan Ekatmanatmanam Sadruk Antaro Anantaro Bhati Pashyatam Mayayoruda.
Therefore, O king, you should look to the Supreme Lord only, who is one without a second, and who manifests himself by different energies and is both within and without.
Yeah, he further continues. O king, this universe is only the Lord. Tadidam Bhagavan Ragna Eka Atma Atmanam Sadruk. Tad idam Bhagavan. My dear king, this universe is non-different from the Supreme Lord himself. He is the one soul of all the jivas. Atmanam. He is the super soul of all the living entities. He is self-manifesting. Swadruk. Not dependent on others. For example, if we want to see each other, we need electricity light or sunlight or moonlight, something. But Lord does not need in order to reveal himself to others. He can be revealed himself. So in that way. He is the jiva and the objects of enjoyment for the jiva. Antaro Anantaro Bhati. Antaro means it is the Supreme Lord who expanded himself as the jiva living in the core of the heart. It is Supreme Lord who expanded the form of material nature, which is an object of enjoyment for the jiva outside. We are sitting inside, but we need everything from outside for our enjoyment. We need food, which comes from outside. So something like that. See the one Lord manifested as many by his material energy. Pashyatam Mayayoruda. Kindly understand that it is the same Lord who manifested into all these different varieties. So don't worry. It is a Lord who expanded into variety. It is a Lord who maintains the variety. Don't think that we are the maintainers. Apparently, you might think that you are maintaining your elderly aged parents, but you are not. So basically, he is trying to enlighten him philosophically so that he can come out of the lamentation. You have said that the world is dependent on the Lord. Previously, one verse, Jagato Vashoto Vasham Daivat. If everything is dependent on the Lord, why do you say that the body is dependent on Kala, Karma, and Guna? The previous said like that. For that, Narada is answering here. That is true. Everything is dependent on the Lord, but the dependence is through the agency of Kala, Karma, and Guna. Everything is the Lord because everything in this world is included, including time and karma, is the effect of Lord's energies. That is explained in this verse. The Lord is the universe. Tadidam Bhagavan. Through his Swarupa Shakti in the form of Paramatma, he is the soul of all the jivas. So Lord in the form of Paramatma is the soul, super soul of all the living entities. It is indicated by Atmanam. And he is self-revealing. He is also the jiva as the enjoyer. It is he expands in the form of all the living entities, who is situated in the core of heart of all the living entities, Antaram. And then he is the happiness and distress as the external objects of experience, Anantara. Our happiness and distress lies with the objects or people that we come across, which are outside of us. With them only, na? Our happiness or distress, everything is with the objects or with the people with whom we deal with. So that is Anantaram, who are there outside. So then, but Lord only expands into all these various forms. Therefore, the Lord appears through these three energies. Swarupa Shakti, Paramatma as Swarupa Shakti, living entities as Jiva Shakti, and objects and other people as Maya Shakti. See the one Lord manifesting as many, such as Devatas, animals, and other human beings by his Maya Shakti. To understand that it is the Lord himself expanding as various things, and no need to lament. It is all Lord's play. Something like that. Hare Krishna, all the devotees are able to follow what is Narada Muni trying to tell us? Any questions till now?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
That, what is the answer? Because everything is dependent on time, karma, and matter.
Okay.
So why this? If everything is dependent on Lord, why do you say that the body is dependent on time? For that, will you explain once more?
See, it is the Lord who expands as Paramatma. It is the Lord who expands as Jivatma. It is the Lord who expands in the form of the body. Body of our near and dear friends, our parents, our grandparents, our siblings, friends, relatives. It is the Lord who expands in the form of mobile, laptop, radio, what else, wristwatch, everything that we come across, because of which we feel happy or sometimes happy, sometimes distressed. If mobile does not work properly, we are distressed. So something like that. So all these are manifested from the Lord. Ultimate cause is the Supreme Lord. The immediate cause is Kala, Karma and Guna. Because Kala, Karma, Guna are energies of the Supreme Lord. Here these three energies, Swarupa Shakti, Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti are all energies of Supreme Lord. So everything is under the supervision of the Lord, but in between there are medium supervisors. Like for a company we have CEO, MD, general manager and manager, immediate boss. So like that, different levels of controllers are there. So that is the same understanding. Kala, Karma, Guna are the intermediate controllers, and the Supreme Lord is the ultimate boss.
This is like God is everything. So we shouldn't worry about anything like that.
You should not see like that. Though it is said like that, God is everything in the sense that everything is a manifestation of God's energies. This is the problem with Mayavada. The Mayavadi say that God is everything, so I can worship anything.
The Lord.
Huh?
Whatever is happening, it is within the Lord only.
Within the Lord means?
It's like everything is Lord's expansion only. It's energies.
Yes. Sarvam Kalo Vidam Brahma. Everything is Lord's expansion only.
Like we should not worry about things.
Then why Yudhisthira Maharaj is worrying?
That's what Narada is telling on that.
Then we should not worry. Then don't worry.
About anything.
Then don't worry. It is not like that. Don't see one verse exclusively. You need to see all the verses together. Though everything is manifesting from the Lord, though all of us are expansion from the Lord, all of our identities are given by the Vedic literature. According to those identities, we need to perform our duties. But while doing our duties, sometimes we come across with some people, at other times we are separated from our loved ones. So at that time, don't go into excessive lamentation. Here, wait. Here, Yudhisthira Maharaj is going through the excessive lamentation of being separated from his uncles. He is worried that we will maintain them. Narada is saying that apparently it is true that you are maintaining them, but ultimate maintainer is Supreme Lord. You are only instrument. Think yourself as an instrument. So till yesterday you have maintained them, and tomorrow onwards somebody else be the instrument. Why you only want to be the instrument for the rest of eternity? It's okay ना, आपके लिए इतना सेवा दिया, अभी कल से दूसरा और सेवा करेगा, करने दो.
do our duties and things are not in our control. Then it is not
Accept it as the plan of the destiny. It is like that one should move on in the world.
मतलब यहाँ पे आदमी सेवा से ही चिपक जा रहा है.
किसका?
मतलब व्यक्ति सेवा से जो उसको सेवा दी गई है उस सेवा से ही चिपक जा रहा है कि मैं तो यही सेवा करूंगा. Like that. जबकि उसे नहीं चिपकना चाहिए भाई जो सेवा मिले आप झाड़ू की तो झाड़ू कर लो.
Yes.
सर को ऑल्टर की मिले तो ऑल्टर कर लो.
Yes, that's perfect.
कुछ भी सेवा कर मिले हो.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
If you are realized things don't matter to you, like in Mayavadi, whatever is happening.
That's what Mayavadi says, na? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This entire world is Mithya. That is the problem. That is extreme, too much extreme.
You are really realized and things don't bother you, then is it okay?
Like Mayavadis?
Not like Mayavadi, like realized soon, like things doesn't bother to him. Maybe it's not.
But a devotee understanding is, what was that word? Stavara Jangama Deki Nadeki Taramurti Sarvatra Prasara Hoibe Ishta Deva Spurti. The Mayavadi understanding may be Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. But a devotee understanding is that whatever they see, they only see the Supreme Lord. Since everything is manifest in Supreme Lord, they see everything as Supreme Lord and everything they use for the service of the Supreme Lord. So it is like that. Hare Krishna, I'm in a class. See, I'm in a class. I'm in a class. So it is like that. So we cannot take one line out of context. It is not like, oh, let me become indifferent. So kuch theek hai, no need to worry. Because we cannot continue like that for long. Can we continue for like that? We cannot. We are not made up like that. Maybe a person on the Jivan Mukta platform can be indifferent to everything that is happening around. But currently we are not. So we need to work slowly to come to that platform. Even devotee never behaves like indifferent to everything. Instead, currently in our current situation, we have so much affection towards our near and dear one. But devotee gradually transforms that affection towards the Supreme Lord and to his devotees. So, if not devotees, but others in a family, the affection is superficially based on bodily level or mental level. Yes? Body or mental level only, outside all the affectionate dealings. But when it comes to devotees, it should extend to the soul level. Okay? If the family members are all devotees, it becomes Vaishnava association. No problem. So the devotee, see, it's like this one point, I may be wrong also. In a devotee family, as long as while they are living, the devotee happy to serve the devotees, serve the family members. At the time of death, what should be the thought of that dying person, dying devotee? You should still harbor the same thought that let me continue to serve my family members only. I should move on. So it's like that. Devotee should develop a desire to serve devotee anywhere and anyone. Any kind of devotee, let me serve. So now it is some by the will of the Supreme Lord. I have been in the association of this group of devotees. I have been placed here in this group of devotees. So as long as my body is functional, I serve them. Now I've been moved out of this body. Let me go to some other place. Let me serve some other set of devotees. So one should be ready to serve like that. Same way here, Yudhisthira Maharaj case, we can say that. So till now I have served Yudhisthira Maharaj, the Dhritarastra. Now on, let us somebody else can serve him. It's okay. Other way we can say. Let somebody else serve them. Let somebody else take care of them. Of course, what is feeling bad is actually correct. So how will they be taken care? That is also correct. But from philosophical point of view, one should move on. So it's like that. So we'll continue. Soyam Adya Maharaja Bhagavan Bhuta Bhavana Kala Rupo Avatirnosyam Abhavaya Suradvisham.
That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, in the guise of all devouring time, Kala Rupa, has now descended on earth to eliminate the envious from the world.
So now, Yudhisthira Maharaj kind of asks, where does that person with such powers exist? Who is that person? Who is the control of the entire universe? Under whose control Kala, Karma, Guna, taking care of all of us? Who is that person? So for that, Narada Muni is giving an answer. He is the Lord of Dwaraka. He stays in Dwaraka. He is the protector of all beings. He has appeared in the form of time to destroy the demons. Kala Rupo Avatirno Asyam Abhavaya Suradvisham. Bhavaya means to take birth. Avaya means to destroy them. In order to destroy the Suradvisham, the envious of the Devatas, the demons, the Supreme Lord appeared in the form of Kala. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna. Kalosmi Bas. Kalosmi Lokakshaya Krut Pravruddho. I am time, the destroyer of everything that exists. Time I am. May call whom. So in that way. Kala Rupo Avatirna Asyam Abhavaya Suradvisham. In a manifested form, he appeared as Dwarakadish. In an unmanifested form, he appeared as Kala to destroy the demons who are envious of the Devatas, who appeared as demonic kings on the surface of the earth. So like that, he kind of points out to Krishna. He is living in Dwaraka. He is here. He has appeared on earth for destroying the demons. Appearing to the demons in the form of time, he destroys them. Actually, he has a form of supreme bliss, but for the demons, he appears as time. For the devotees, he is Dwarakadish. For the demons, he is Kala. Demons are not afraid of Bhagavan, they are afraid of Kala. So it's like that. So this is how, in various ways, Narada Muni is trying to pacify Yudhisthira Maharaj, trying to enlighten him with the fact that how the universe functions, how the world functions, how things happen in this world under the supervision of Kala, Karma and the three gunas. So this is the last verse that Narada Muni talks in philosophical way, and then later on he will talk about what is happening with Dhritarastra and all. Nishpaditam devakrityam avashesham pratikshate tavadyuyam avekshadvam bhaved yavad iheshwara.
The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods, and he is awaiting the rest. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth.
So here he is also telling one more point. Having completed the action for the Devatas, Dwarakadish is waiting for the remaining activities. While he remains on the earth, we should consider all things as the objects of attachment. Don't be disturbed by the separation from your aged parents. All such kind of things only bind you in this material world. It is Lord's wish that you should rule the entire kingdom. That is basically provide the facilities for the people in general to practice sadhana and go back to Godhead. That is the purpose of Lord's instructing Yudhisthira Maharaj to rule. So as long as he is there, may you look after the people in general in this world. Take care of them for their ultimate welfare, ultimate well-being. So in that way. So Lord appeared to fulfill the request of the Devatas that so many demons are there. He came down to reduce the burden of the earth. That he did. So now he is waiting to perform his final pastimes. He is waiting only for the remaining actions. Like Vidura, Narada did not describe the arrangement for the destruction of Yadu family, which he knew that it had already taken place. Even Narada also knows that Lord Krishna departed already, Balaramji departed, the Yadavas departed, everything happened, but it did not disclose to Yudhisthira Maharaj. Even Narada Muni also following the same principle. Anyway, it will be known to Yudhisthira Maharaj is only lamenting for the departure of Dhritarastra. If he comes to know Krishna also departed, it will increase 1,000-fold. So he did not tell that. Instead, he's telling that Lord has done his mission completed. His mission is completed already. He's just waiting to perform the final pastimes. He just gave the hint. Till then, continue as a king. Do not get lamented. So do not be lamented so much, etc., etc. Avekshadvam means that they should observe everything as objects of eye and mind. Even hearing about the incident, they should consider everything in this way. Narada Muni now itself preparing Yudhisthira Maharaj psychologically that even tomorrow if you come to know that Lord Krishna departed, do not get into emotional turmoil. Accept it as the plan of the Supreme Lord and move on. Something like that. This would be the belief that the self is conscious particle but subject to destruction. So something like that. So this is how till now Narada Muni talked about everything in philosophical way in order to pacify Yudhisthira Maharaj and preparing him that in the future very soon when he is going to receive the news that all the Yadavas who are very close friends of Yudhisthira Maharaj, especially Balramji and Lord Krishna who are like his own self, more than his own self, when he comes to know that they are disappeared, he may not take it. So Narada Muni is preparing him very well by teaching all these philosophical dictates in the past 10 verses. And now he is going to talk about what happened with respect to Dhritarastra and Gandhari and also about Vidura. Dhritarastra saha bratra Gandharya cha savharyaya dakshinena himavata rishi nam ashramam gata.
O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages.
Yeah. Dhritarashtra with his wife Gandhari and Vidura has gone to a hermitage of sages on the south side of the Himalayas. They have already gone to Himalayas. And in the Himalayas, they have gone to south side of the Himalayas. And they are living currently in the ashram of a sage. The ashram of some sages. Having dispelled his lamentation, Narada now tells the actual facts to the inquisitive Yudhishthira in 6 verses, 51 to 56. Because this is the question of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Where are my deceased parents, aged parents? Wow, what are their whereabouts? That is.
Describe when Vidur, his wife also went.
Where? No. Vidura did not carry his wife. His wife is still in Hastinapur only. She did not go along with him.
He came back.
Who? Vidura here only ना pilgrimage पे गया था अभी वापस आया हस्तिनापुर.
When he took Dhritarashtra.
हाँ.
Dhritarashtra entered the fire.
हाँ, okay. हम पढ़ेंगे ना अभी तक हुआ नहीं पढ़ेंगे अभी ये it will continue all the way up to the end of 15th chapter. 15th chapter end में पता चलेगा विद्रा को क्या हुआ अभी नहीं थोड़ा समय दो. श्रोतो भी सप्त बीर्या वै स्वर्धुनी सप्तदा व्यदत् सप्तानां प्रीयते नाना सप्त श्रोता प्रचक्षते.
The place is called Saptarosta, divided by 7, because there are the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis.
So where they are residing now? They have gone to Himalayas, especially in the southern part of the Himalayas. They are residing in a ashram of the sages. And where is that ashram? That place where the Ganga became 7 by dividing into 7 branches to please the 7 sages, Sapta Rishis, is called Sapta Shrota. In that, the combination of 7 streams of Ganga, there is a ashram. In that ashram, currently, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and Vidura are residing. That which is famous as Ganga, Svardhuni, made herself into 7 streams. Why? She did it so to please the 7 sages. That place is called by the names like Sapta Shrota or Marichi Ganga. the 7 sages such as Marichi and others came down to perform tapasya. They wanted to perform tapasya in the midst of Ganga. So Ganga was flowing a single stream. So in order to provide a suitable place for them to meditate, Ganga divided into 7 streams. In between 7 islands came formed. So and in those islands, the Saptarishis were performing tapasya in the past. They are still there. Even now also we can see like that they say. 7 streams of Ganga in the Himalayan range. So what they are doing there? Are they living comfortably? Yes. No. We'll see. Snatvanusavanam tasmin hutva chagnimyata vidhi abhaksha upashantatma sa aste vigataishana jitasano jitashvasa pratyahृतसदिन्द्रिया hari bhavanaya dvasta rajas sattva tamomala.
On the banks at Saptarota, Dhritarastra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily in the morning, noon and evening, by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire, by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one completely from the thoughts of familial affection. One who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses toward the absolute personality of Godhead and thus become immune to the contaminations of the modes of material nature, namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance.
So here, Dhritarashtra had spent a lot of time in the household order, trying to increase the level of comforts and trying to increase his position as the Chakravarti Samrat, Maharaj, King of Hastinapur, like that. He was attached to that kingly designation, kingly facilities all these years. Now, he wanted to go 180 degrees opposite of that. He wanted to get rid of all the designation, get rid of all the attachments, and similarly wanted to attain perfection. So, in the Bhagavatam at the end of first canto, we see this question. Parishit Maharaj asks, so my dear sirs, dear Sukadeva, Goswami Maharaj, I only have 7 days. Please tell me what I am supposed to do to attain the highest benefit. So in order to answer the second canto, he talks about 2 different paths. One is by practicing Ashtanga Yoga. If at all one has only 7 days at the end of the life, one can attain perfection in the form of Brahman, Sahyajya Mukti. Or by practicing Bhakti, one can attain perfection in the form of entering into Vaikuntha. Both are suitable. So here, in order to attain quick perfection, Dhritarashtra is taking shelter of Ashtanga Yoga because he cannot do Bhakti. No, because he was not favorable to Pandava since the beginning of the Mahabharata, so he cannot practice Bhakti. So at least he can practice Ashtanga Yoga.
तब तो वो राजसी उसमें भोग विलास में था, अचानक से अष्टांग योग प्रैक्टिस करने लगा।
भोग विलास में कहाँ पे था प्रभु जी? पहला 35 साल से रो रहे, 35 साल से रो रहे, रोते हुए आदमी कैसे एंजॉय करेगा?
नहीं, पर अष्टांग योग जो ब्रह्मरंध से हम आप बोलते हैं वो सब, उसके लिए तो एक अलग तरह की प्रैक्टिस चाहिए, 6 चैप्टर में डिस्क्राइब्ड है।
हाँ, ये ना वो कर रहे हैं ना अभी, वही कर रहे हैं अभी।
पिछली रात को तो बनाया।
हाँ, जाने के बाद चालू किया। That is what I am giving the example. In 7 days, if one want to attain perfection, 2 means Sukadeva Goswami describing. One is to practice Bhakti, other one is to practice Ashtanga Yoga. And for Parishit Maharaj, he said, you do Shravanam, Tasmat Bar Sarvatma, Bhagavan Nishwaro Hari, Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, Smartavya, Echatam Avayam. If at all you want ultimate perfection, please hear about, chant, and meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Bhagavan, Ishvara, Hari. हो गया ना? तो उनको करने का, उनको वो करने का था। For others, अष्टांग योगा 7 दिन में अष्टांग योग से जा सकते हैं, ब्राह्मण पहुंच सकते हैं। हाँ, वो सब कुछ पढ़ाई किया ना गुरुकुल में, उनको पता था, सब कुछ पता था। It is not that they are bereft of knowledge, they know all these things. I told many times in the class. There are 2 things, logic and reasoning and emotion. Dhritarashtra's whole life his logic and reasoning was, his jnana was overpowered by emotions.
He knew everything.
Yeah, obviously. Why? He is a direct disciple of Bhishma and disciple of Vyasadeva. Why can't he know everything? You know everything. हाँ? क्या करे अभी? उनको राजा बनने का था, बन पाया नहीं ठीक से, ठीक तरीके से. Somehow he became, but he was worried that whether he will be able to continue or not. He taking shelter of those people who are supporting him in order to continue. So it's like that. So now,
Hare Krishna
there.
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Pranam.
yes.
Prabhuji, means less confident होना भी बहुत risky है ना Prabhuji?
Less confident.
Yes, Prabhu.
About what?
Like he was not confident कि मेरा बना रहेगा, I will be a king. So he was taking like सबका support जिनका साथ में ले लेके चलूं, और फिर इस चक्कर में बहुत गलती हो गई.
Yeah, that is true. You could have taken shelter of Yudhisthira Maharaj. You could have told that Yudhisthira Maharaj, so my dear son, may you continue as the prince. I will continue as the king. Yudhisthira Maharaj would never objected it, but instead he took support of Duryodhana. That is the problem. That's why Mahabharata happened.
Okay, तो less confident भी हो तो पर आप किसका shelter ले रहे हो, आपको मतलब किसका support ले रहे हो, you should be.
हाँ, जिसका संग ले रहे हैं वो important है.
Okay.
Confidence it depends upon the association. So,
got it,
it's like
thank you. Hare Krishna.
See, now Vidura came and told very clearly, you should not do this, you should do this. Now he is confident. He is doing it. And what he is doing? At that place, in the ashram of sages, in the midst of Ganga, where the 7 streams of Ganga are there, in that ashram, what he is doing? At that place, Dhritarastra bathing 3 times a day, not with hot water, with chilled cold water. Anybody has been to Haridwar, Rishikesh? How is the Ganga water there? So in that water is taking 3 times bath. Performing sacrifice according to the scriptural rules. Whatever he could do. Drinking only water as food. He is not eating anything else. Only Ganga water. Maybe 3 times a day. Little bit. Controlling the mind. Till now, whole life he was controlled by the mind. Now for the first time he is trying to control the mind. Ridding himself of material desires. Till now he was worried about material desires. I want to be the king, I want to be the king, I want to be the king, my son, my son, my son, my son. Now we want to come out of that. Perfecting the sitting postures. Asana. You want to practice that asanas. The previous, all these things are yama and niyama. Perfecting sitting position is asana. And controlling the breathing. Pranayama. Withdrawing the 6 senses. Pratyahara. Has destroyed the contamination of sattva, rajas and tamas by meditation on the Lord. Meditation on the Lord indicates dhyana, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. सब हो गया, अष्टांग योगा हो गया. हाँ? That's why अष्टांग yoga is there.
प्रभु जी, फिर तो ये धृतराष्ट्र ने बाकी सबको लटका दिया, खुद पार हो गए.
किसको लटका दिया?
दुर्योधन एंड कंपनी को. वो सब तो बिना किसी के उनको तो लटका दिया इसमें. अच्छा स्वर्ग गए होंगे, फिर आप यही तो कुछ ना कुछ होना होगा.
इन्होंने लटका दिया क्या उनको? वो उनका चॉइस था.
ये लोग, मैं राजा बना, मेरा बेटा राजा बनेगा, उसके अंदर जो इंजेक्शन डाले थे दुर्योधन के अंदर, वो तो इनकी कृपा है.
इनका कृपा से पहले उनका था, दुर्योधन को था ऐसा, उनको राजा बनने का था. उनको he used father as an instrument to fulfill his desires. Dhritarashtra always would listen from Vidura saying that, my dear sir, my dear elder brother, you are not the king. Understand that Pandu was the king. Pandu's son Yudhisthira is supposed to be king. If at all you don't accept that, after you, out of the 105 sons, Yudhisthira the eldest is supposed to be the king. He said, okay brother, I accept. Would always say okay. But Duryodhana would come and say that I should be the king, otherwise I will die. He had that affection toward the son that has blinded his knowledge. Bodily affection blinded his knowledge. So it's like that. अपना रास्ता अपनों को डिसाइड करना पड़ता है. बाकी लोग रास्ता दिखाएगा, रास्ते में चलना नहीं चलना हमारा उत्तरदायित्व है. No one will take us with hand along with this. Vidura could take him all the way up to Ganga only. Having gone to Ganga, whether to perform Ashtanga Yoga or not is up to Dhritarashtra. Yes or no? Understand that. The process of Ashtanga Yoga that he performed is described in 4 verses 53 to 56. The niyamas are bathing, sacrifice, and taking water as food. These are the do's, what one is supposed to do. 3 times bathing, performing sacrifice whenever it is required, and taking water as food. Minimal water maintenance. The yamas, the regulations or don'ts are calming the mind, controlling the mind, and destroying the bodily attachments are the kingly appliances. Yes, Prabhu?
Destroy contamination of Sattva and Tamaguna. Destroy the contamination of Sattva and Tamaguna. How?
This one, huh? Wait, Prabhuji, we are discussing.
He has destroyed the contamination of.
Wait, we will discuss. How it happens, we'll discuss. This is the explanation of the same translation. It is coming. The yellow is the repetition of the white translation. So Ashtanga Yoga has 8 limbs. So one is being described. Yama are calming the mind and destroying the attachments. These are the yamas, regulations. We have 4 regulations. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Our do's are get up early in the morning, take bath, wear fresh clothes, attend Mangalarati, chant 16 rounds on Mala, hear Bhagavatam or read Bhagavatam. These are our rules and regulations. For Ashtanga Yogi, these are the rules and regulations. There's a big list, but few are mentioned here in this verse. And then asana, sitting on the different asanas, especially Padmasana or Uttanasana or whatever it is, different asanas are there. Pranayama, controlling the breath, and Pratyahara, controlling the withdrawing the 6 senses from external outs. The eyes want to see something, close the eyes. Ears want to hear music, close the ears. Withdrawing them. We discussed about this nicely in the Bhagavad Gita and other places. Are described in the 3rd line. Dharana and Dhyana are described in the last line. Hari Bhavanaya, meditating on Lord Hari, who is there in the core of the heart as Paramatma. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi indicates the meditation on the Paramatma. Okay. Bhagavatam, later on we study in the 3rd canto. Dharana will destroy all the contaminations of the influence of 3 modes of material nature. When we withdraw the senses from outside world, as long as we want something from outside world, we have to deal with the world, which is nothing but the manifestation of 3 modes. When we don't want anything out from outside world, when the yogi does not want anything from outside world, uska interaction ही खत्म हो गया, interaction बंद हो गया. Then how is the person will be bewildered by influenced by 3 modes? No. That's how one is purified of 3 modes. So in that way.
In that case also, जो mind में memories हैं, उनके through तो bewilderment हो सकती है.
He is not agitated by the old memories. Now he is determined to practice Ashtanga Yoga. Now अभी कुछ सोचने का नहीं, सिर्फ Ashtanga Yoga करने का. Now he is determined to leave the body and go back to Brahman. हम डिस्टर्ब होते हैं, ये लेवल पे डिस्टर्ब नहीं होता. डिस्टर्ब होगा तो घर पे आ जाएगा वापस. So it's like that. Then what else he did? Vijnanatmani samyojya kshetrajne praviliyatam brahmani atmanamadare ghatambaram ivambare dvastamaya gunodarko niruddha karanashaya nivartita kakilardhara nivartita kilaharaste stanur ivachala.
Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky.
Next.
He will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material action. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path.
Yeah. What else Dhritarashtra did there? Basically, he was performing Ashtanga Yoga starting with Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. By the way, what he did? He could purify himself from the influence of Tamoguna, Rajoguna, and Sattoguna. Utna tak ho gaya. Then what happened? Meditating on merging the false ego into the Mahatattva, Vijnanatmani Samyojya, Kshetragne Praviliyatam. So this is a process of getting out of the body. This is exactly followed the process of universal destruction. At the time of final destruction of the universe. So at the beginning of the creation, one element comes from the other element. At the time of destruction, the other element enters into the source. This enters its source. So like that, one after the other, one everything goes back. That's how a person gets liberated from this material world. So he was meditating that he merging of the false ego into Mahatattva. Mahatattva gives birth to false ego. At the time of liberation, he is supposed to merge back the false ego into Mahatattva. And then Mahatattva into Jiva. And then Jiva into Brahman. Merging Jiva into Brahman means entering back to Brahman. And merging the Paramatma into Bhagavan. That Jivatma and Paramatma both are there in the heart. The Jivatma enters into Brahman. Paramatma enters into Bhagavan. Because Paramatma is Kshuradakshaya Vishnu. Kshuradakshaya Vishnu expansion of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is expansion of Mahavishnu. So Paramatma enters back into Mahavishnu. And Jivatma enters into Brahman. That is Sahaja Mukti. उसके लिए सेकंड कैंटो तक वेट करना पड़ेगा. So now, please tell me if you know the full life cycle of a plant. I will give you a moong dal seed. What do? You sow in the ground. In 2 days, what do you get? The small sprout. After 2 days, you get a small sapling. Then eventually becomes a tree. Branches, sub-branches, leaves, flowers, eventually the seed. Not seed. A group of seeds coming in one particular big kind fruit or whatever you can say. So this is the entire procedure. This is the creation of a plant. The destruction of the plant should go in the opposite direction. From the seed came sprout. From the sprout came the sapling. The sprout is Mahatattva. The sapling is Ahankara. From that sapling comes the branches. From the branches comes twigs. From the twigs comes the leaves. From the leaves comes the small flowers. From the flower comes the fruit with the seeds. So destruction will happen in the opposite way. It reverse. So that's how it is. So since Ahankara came from Mahatattva, Ahankara enters back into Mahatattva. That means the trunk will go back to the root. And root will enter into the seed. The seed will enter into the source of the seed. Something like that. So see, Prabhuji, here all the details are not there. If I tell also, you will not be able to understand. I said Pradhana. The seed is like the Pradhana. So what happens? All the senses will merge into Ahankara. Whatever senses we have. The 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, ether. The 10 senses, 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas. The mind, intelligence all enter into Ahankara. Ahankara enters into Mahatattva. Mahatattva enters into Pradhana. Pradhana enters into Mahavishnu. This is one side. On the other side, Jivatma enters into Brahman. On the other side, Paramatma enters into Mahavishnu. That is Bhagavan. All three happen simultaneously. So it is like that. So
it's not like the Paramatma because in Kshuradakshaya Vishnu is concerned. So the Kshuradakshaya.
It's okay. Here it is read like that. The Brahman enters into Bhagavan. Paramatma enters into Kshuradakshaya Vishnu. Kshuradakshaya Vishnu enters into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters into
the final destruction.
It is final. But whatever it is, for the matter, we are discussing that concept.
This is only like
we are talking about Sahaja Mukti only. There they enter into Vaikuntha. The Jivatma enters into Vaikuntha. There also Paramatma enters into Mahavishnu, and the Pradhana enters into Mahavishnu. Only Jiva. Here Jiva wants to go to Brahman, he goes to Brahman. If Jiva wants to go to Vaikuntha, he goes to Vaikuntha. Only Jiva goes ahead, not Paramatma, not the body. So like that. So false ego enters into Mahatattva, and Mahatattva enters into Jiva, and Jiva enters into Brahman, and Paramatma enters into Mahavishnu. That is Bhagavan, the supreme shelter. Like merging the sky in the part into the sky. He has destroyed the impressions arising from the gunas of Maya, controlled the senses and mind. So this example is quite used in the Mayavadi circles. Like sky in the entire open atmosphere, sky in the part. When the part is broken, this sky merges into that sky. Both become one. So that is how they use. But here same thing. The material body is a manifestation of Pradhana, which appears from Mahavishnu. So now that material body again re-entered back into Mahavishnu. That's how from Vaishnava circle is explained. From Mayava circle they say that Atma manifested from Brahman and Atma rejoins with Brahman. That they say. But Vaishnava say that the Pradhana manifested from Brahman or Mahavishnu, and Pradhana enters back into Mahavishnu. The energy again enters back into Mahavishnu. The soul remains as individual, independent, even after liberation also. It will not reunite back with the Brahman as one.
In this case, the soul even loses its identity.
No, you don't lose. कौन बताया? Huh? Merging means entering. Merging means entering. After this class is over, in the class all of us are together. After this class is over, I'll go out of this room. I go into the ashram, which you can't see in general. You mean to say that I am merged in the ashram?
But as per Maya philosophy,
Let them say whatever they want. Actually, what happens is the Jiva goes to the Brahman and it remains as independent. The perfect example is the ether. Ether is like the Brahman. In the ether, in the night time, we see so many stars. Are the stars are becoming one with the sky? They remain there. Just because we can't see them daytime, we cannot say that they are becoming one with Brahman. That's what the example the Mayavadis use.
They don't lose their identity.
They don't lose their identity. They stay in the Brahman as long as they want. They want to be in the neutral state. That is what they are aspiring for. That is what they get. In Brahman.
quality of soul identity
Is always there. So merging the elements of the body into the senses, the Pancha Mahabhutas are merged into the 10 senses. And then senses are merged into Ahankara. Merged into Mahatattva. And Mahatattva is merged into Jiva. Kshetra is merged into Kshetrajna. And the Jiva is then merged into Brahman. The Jiva enters into Brahman. Attains Sahajya Mukti. Merging the Paramatma situated in the body into Bhagavan, the Lord Mahavishnu, who is the Ashri Tattva with the Amshi, the source of all the avatars. So like that. So both happen simultaneously. It is well known that Paramatma and Bhagavan are one. That is true. But though they are one, there is a functional difference. This is explained through an example. Actually, from the Siddhanta point of view, it is Mahavishnu who is seen as Bhagavan by devotees. It is Mahavishnu who is seen as Paramatma by the yogis. It is Mahavishnu who is seen as Brahman by Jnanis. Actually, we call about Brahman is light. No, it is not light. It is actually Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu himself is called Brahman. When the Jnanis or yogis attain Sahajya Mukti, they actually enter into Mahavishnu. This we read the study about this in the second chapter. We discussed that elaborately at that time. How it is Mahavishnu, etc. It's already 1 o'clock. We just have 2 verses, 2-3 verses quickly we complete. It is like the air in a pot and the air outside the pot. Like the limited sky and the unlimited sky. The sky in the pot and the sky outside the pot are actually one, since the sky is all pervading. Lack of deviation is described. Deviation is so basically when the pot is broken, that means when the body is destroyed, gross body, subtle body, then the part in the sky, the sky in the part will become one with the sky in the ether. So that is how the example is explained. Now Dhritarashtra is not at all disturbed by any of the material affections because the deviation arises from internal disturbances of the gunas or from external agitation of the senses. When the senses are agitated by external stimuli or the mind is agitated by so many material desires, a person becomes disturbed. But right now Dhritarashtra is not at all disturbed. Dhritarashtra is neither because he had destroyed the results of the gunas of Maya, the impressions of desires. Therefore, he has controlled the senses and mind completely. Because of the complete control of the mind and senses, he is not at all disturbed by emotional thoughts. He could practice Ashtanga Yoga very perfectly. He could attain Sahajya Mukti. So, then, Tasyantarayo Maiva Bhu Sanyasta Kila Karmana Sava Adyatana Drajan Parata Panchamehani Kalevaram Asyati Swamtacha Basmi Bhu Bhavishyati. I will read the translation. It says that, so he is requesting Yudhisthira Maharaj. So they are performing Ashtanga Yoga. Yudhisthira might say that, let me go and call him back. Why he is going through so many austerities? Let me call him back. Then he says that, do not become an obstacle to Dhritarashtra, who has renounced all the actions. O king, 5 days from now, he will give up his body. He will turn himself into ashes. He has taken to the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. In 5 days, he will attain liberation. Don't go and disturb him. Don't bring him back. Since Yudhisthira may try to bring him back, Narada says, do not be an obstacle. Yudhisthira may still want to see him. Therefore, Narada says that 5 days from now, he will give up his body. Yudhisthira may want to go to burn the body. Narada says that he will burn himself up. कुछ मत करो, उनको जाने दो. And then Yudhisthira might say that let me go and call the Gandhari back. Then Narada says, Dayamane Agni Birdehe Patyu Patni Sahotaje Bahi Sthita Patim Sadvi Tam Agnim Anuvekshati. While his body is being burned along with the cottage, the noble wife Gandhari, situated outside, will also enter the fire to follow her husband. She will enter Sati as a chaste wife. Then Yudhishthira might say that I will go and bring back Gandhari. No, that is not possible. When the body of her husband burns along with the hut by the fire of yoga and the household fire, she situated outside will enter the fire following her husband. No need to go there. Both will give up this world. Vidarastu tadaccharyam nishamya kurunandana harsha shoka yutastasma ganta tirtani shevaka. Yudhishthira might say that I will go and bring back Vidura. Then Narada will say that, oh Kurunandana, seeing this astonishing event, Vidura with both with joy and lamentation will depart from that place and travel to visiting different holy places. No, that is not possible. Seeing this astonishing event, Vidura will depart for the holy places. Vidura will be joyful since Dhritarashtra had attained at least Sahajya Mukti. He will lament as a worldly custom and he will then go to serve the holy places. It should be understood that Dhritarashtra, being an offender to devotees, attained only liberation, not Krishna Prema. Since Vidura did not give such mercy to, he did not make him Narottama. He only made him Dhira, determined to practice Ashtanga Yoga and attain Sahajya Mukti. Iti vuktva tu rahat swargam Narada sahatumburu Yudhisthiro vachastasya hridi kutva jahasucha. Saying this, Narada with his veena ascended to Swarga. Yudhisthira, taking those words in his heart, gave up his lamentation. So Narada saying this concluded his talk and then departed for Swarga. And Yudhisthira became sober, giving up his lamentation. At least he became happy. At least somehow or other, Gandhari and Dhritarashtra attained liberation. You are happy.
यहाँ पे गांधारी का लिबरेशन का
Following the husband ना, शादी से फॉलो कर रहे हैं अभी. हस्बैंड को लिबरेशन मिलेगा तो वाइफ को भी मिलेगा. क्यों नहीं?
My question is actually he is the offender. So अगर भक्त लोग भी भक्ति करता है, if they are offending, so what is the destination? Suppose devotee भक्ति कर रहा है. Here because he is offender, so he is attains attains. But devotee is offending, but he is leaving his body. उसका क्या होता है? क्या he is also going to attains bhakti or?
See, offense na, it is two parts. One is we are doing offense, other person is perceiving offense. The Yudhisthira never perceived as offense from the Yudhishthira's point of view. Pandavas knew that Dhritarashtra at heart is good person only, but he has some weakness of heart, special affection towards his son. What he can do? That everyone has some special affection. So they accepted. This is how the world functions. They never took it seriously.
So in this Daksha case, Maiden Lord Shiva also not taken offense, but Daksha to suffer.
But Daksha did not realize that he was offending Lord Shiva. Yeah, Dhritarashtra realized. Last 35 years he repented thoroughly. He never, afterwards, he never harbored any ill feelings towards Yudhisthira Maharaj or Pandavas. In these 35 years, he kind of he went through repentance sufficiently. What else you want? But this did not happen with respect to Narada Muni. Sorry, Daksha. He did not repent sufficiently.
But he is taking so much austerity in his perform austerity to average action of Lord.
See, both are different, Prabhuji. Austerity, uska results अलग है. Bhakti, Bhakta and Bhakti अलग है. दोनों अलग है. Since he did not, he repented, but he did not beg forgiveness or he did not serve Pandavas positively, so he did not get Bhakti. तो उनको है, तभी क्या करे? So it's like that. We will discuss about this later on. When the fourth canto comes, we will discuss more elaborately. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much for joining. And next 2 weeks we have holidays. So please prepare nicely. This is a big chapter, and we'll have exam on the second week of the next month. The second or third week, whatever. 10th, 17th. 10th is Ram Navami. Please come to temple to attend, to participate in the festivities. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.